Chapter 430. An ice-cold killing intent shrouded him, causing Rong Jin to feel extreme fear. Do not look at him as a Crucible Transformation 7th level cultivator. Even if he were to fight against a Crucible Transformation 9th level cultivator, he could easily kill the other party by relying on his sword skills that could control the surrounding space. But now that he was fighting against Ning Cheng, a mere intermediate stage C opening realm cultivator, this kind of killing move unexpectedly failed. The killing intent of the long spear was getting stronger and stronger, but Rong Jin simply could not catch it, let alone know how to block this killing intent that made him feel fear. Poof! The long spear pierced through Rong Jin's neck, bringing out a fountain of blood, while Rong Jin frantically retreated. A faintly discernible axe had unknowingly appeared behind him. Rong Jin felt as if he had sent himself to the axe, once again splashing out a fountain of blood. His whole body turned into two pieces, falling onto the battle ring. Ning Cheng sighed, grabbed Rong Jin's things, while putting away his own long spear and axe. He had used 24 axes to kill Tang Gongxi, but he only used one axe to kill Rong Jin. It was not that Rong Jin was not as good as Tang Gongxi, but that he was much stronger than before. More importantly, Rong Jin had too much faith in his sword skills that could control space. After he occupied the space controlled by Rong Jin's fate was already doomed. The silver light of the surpassing battle ring dissipated, revealing Rong Jin's corpse on the battle ring, apart from Ning Cheng standing there. Ning Cheng swept his eyes over the silent crowd of cultivators, before slowly walking down the battle ring. He knew that after killing Tang Gongxi last time and Rong Jin this time, he had already established prestige for the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Now even if Rui Baishan was not here, no one would dare to underestimate his Rainbow Fall Sword sect. It was not until this time that the sect's surpassing battle ring started to become noisy. The battle ring was obviously covered with silver sword lights. It was reasonable to say that Ning Cheng should have died, but the final result was Rong Jin's death. Rainbow Fall Sword Sect. Sect Master Ning. Cheers erupted, coming from the disciples of the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect. The disciples of the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect, at this moment, completely forgot about the disaster that almost destroyed their sect, and cheered in unison. Congratulations, Sect Master. Ke Hongshui was the first to come forward. Go back and work hard in your cultivation. Also, tell Sect Master Tantai that he does not have to worry about me. Ning Cheng nodded towards the disciples from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect and spoke. He knew that Ke Hongshui and the disciples of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect must have come under the instructions of Tantai Fei. The reason why Tantai Fei didn't come was because he was afraid that he would lose. If he lost, and Tantai Fei did not come, then the Rainbow Fall Sword sect would still have a trace of face. If Tantai Fei just watched him lose, and did not come to the stage to challenge Rong Jin, then the Rainbow Fall Sword sect would truly be finished. Yes, Sovereign. Several people from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect immediately responded in a respectful manner. Compared to the disciples from the Yin Yang Dao sect who couldn't believe it, the prestige of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect had greatly increased. Congratulations, Sect Master Ning. A charming voice arrived, and Ning Cheng immediately saw Sang Jieju. Luo Zian looked at the charming face of Sang Jieju, and her eyes flashed with a trace of disdain, before she bowed to Ning Cheng and spoke, Headmaster, we will be going back first. If Big Sister Luofei comes out of seclusion, I will definitely tell her about Sect Master's display of his godly might. Ning Cheng looked at Luo Zian, and spoke in a speechless manner, you can go back first, don't worry about me. He had roamed around the Yixing mainland for so long, how could he not understand the meaning behind Luo Zian's words? It was to remind him that Ji Luofei was still waiting for him. However, this girl was too much of a busybody. Even if his seniority in the Rainbow Fall Sword sect was not as old as Luo Zian, he was still a headmaster. Sang Jieju did not know who Luofei was, however, she could also make out a few things from her words, causing her to look at Luo Zian meaningfully. This Luo Zian was in no way inferior to the floating snow palace's Yin Kongchan. Sect Master Ning, I don't know if we can find a place to sit down, I would like to invite Sect Master Ning to drink a cup of spiritual tea. Sang Jieju's tone turned even more pleasant to listen to. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out and found that the long-bearded crucible transformation cultivator had already disappeared. Several crucible transformation cultivators from the other academies, on seeing Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness sweep over, quickly came up to greet Ning Cheng. They did not dare to openly congratulate Ning Cheng like Sang Jieju did, rather, they just wanted to get acquainted with Ning Cheng. Sect Master Ning truly lives up to his reputation. I guess that a lot of people would be able to shut their mouths after this showdown. Just as Ning Cheng and some of the crucible transformation cultivators came up to greet him, Tan Yun's voice arrived. Ning Cheng did not want to talk much with Sang Jieju. As he looked at Sang Jieju apologetically and spoke, Palace Master Sang, because I helped Senior Apprentice Sister Tan find the evidence, Senior Apprentice Sister Tan always wanted to invite me to drink a cup of spiritual tea alone, so this time. Alright, I also wanted to chat with Junior Apprentice Sister Tan Yun. Why don't we all go together? Sang Jieju spoke with joy, as if she did not know that he was a third wheel. Sang Jieju was a generation older than Tan Yun, yet she addressed Tan Yun as Junior Apprentice Sister. Moreover, she even spoke in such a manner, causing Ning Cheng to be unable to refuse. He then spoke up, alright, let's go to the Starflower rest stop in front. Sect Master Ning, this time you are a bit too kind. A few hundred feet of spiritual vein, yet you took it all by yourself. You did not even leave any soup for us. After the three people entered the booth, Sang Jieju bluntly spoke with a smile. Tan Yun also felt surprised in her heart. She did not know whether Ning Cheng had succeeded or not. However, from Sang Jieju's words, she understood that Ning Cheng not only succeeded, but also took away the entire spiritual vein by himself. After understanding this, she felt overjoyed in her heart. Since Ning Cheng invited her to sit down, it showed that he did not have any intention of embezzling it. Ning Cheng unhurriedly poured a cup of spiritual tea for Sang Jieju and Tan Yun, before speaking in a calm voice, if it was Wu Mao who said that I was not kind, then we could still talk about it. However, Palace Master Sang's words are somewhat ungrateful. Since everyone already knew that he was the one who did it, he also did not try to hide it. Moreover, this time, he had established his prestige in the Heavenly Tao public square's sect surpassing censure. Even if it was Wu Mao, he would not dare to do anything to him. Previously, that long-bearded cultivator, after seeing him kill Rong Jin, had left with his tail between his legs. Sang Jieju understood the meaning behind Ning Cheng's words. That is, Ning Cheng was very clear that she and that short crucible transformation cultivator had split the rest of the spiritual vein. It was reasonable to say that she had also used Ning Cheng to transfer away Wu Mao and that long-bearded cultivator. However, Ning Cheng's words were not wrong. She had indeed obtained some benefits because of Ning Cheng's appearance. I was just casually talking about it. Sect Master Ning does not need to take it to heart. I also came here for another important matter. Sang Jieju's face did not even change. Oh, Palace Master Sang, please instruct me. Because of his relationship with the Severing Emotions Tao sect, Ning Cheng did not have much of a favorable impression towards the floating snow palace. Sang Jieju's smile faded, before she spoke up in a very serious tone, I do not dare to instruct you. Sect Master Ning, I only brought up an old matter this time. A few years ago, I went to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect for the sake of my disciple, Yin Kongchan. I think that Sect Master Ning should have already heard about it. Moreover, Sect Master Ning and Kongchan were also in a life and death situation, but now. Sang Jieju's words had not yet finished when Ning Cheng interrupted her, I already have a wife. Junior Apprentice Sister Yin Kongchan is so outstanding that she would definitely be able to find someone better than me. Palace Master Sang does not need to mention this matter again. Sect Master Ning, times have changed. Moreover, this time I came here for both Kongchan and Yan Ji. Since we are cultivating, what does it matter if we have one or two more Dao companions? Sang Jieju did not expect that Ning Cheng would directly reject her, so she simply brought up Yan Ji. Regarding the matter of Yan Ji liking Ning Cheng, she had already heard it from Yin Kongchan. Palace Master Sang, you said that you came here. Does junior apprentice sister Yan Ji know about it? Ning Cheng could not help but ask. Sang Jieju shook her head. She has already gone into seclusion to attack the soul sculpting realm. She does not know about it, I think. Palace Master Sang, please do not mention this matter again. I also hope that you do not disturb junior apprentice sister Yan's cultivation, let alone have any ideas about her. Although junior apprentice sister Yan Ji is a disciple of your floating snow palace, she is also my friend. If there is any danger, then I, Ning Cheng, will be the first to stand up for her. Ning Cheng's words contained a bit of a threat. He was sure that Sang Jieju wanted to use Yan Ji, and then find some benefits for Yin Kongchan. Sang Jieju's complexion immediately changed. She was also a palace master of the floating snow palace. For Ning Cheng to dare to threaten her in such a manner, it made her feel very uncomfortable in her heart. She spoke up in a cold voice, the disciples of my floating snow palace do not need others to worry about them. I will not disturb sect master Ning's wonderful time. After saying that, Sang Jieju suddenly stood up, and took a few steps out of the door. What does she mean? Tanyan asked as she looked at Ning Cheng in doubt. Ning Cheng looked at the door through which Sang Jieju disappeared, and gave a faint smile. This woman is very calculating. Knowing that I obtained a few 100 feet long spiritual vein, she wanted to send her disciple over to use my spiritual vein. I heard that the Severing Emotions Dao sect and the Floating Snow Palace originated from the same vein, presumably they are also the same kind of trash. Sang Jieju, who had just arrived at the door of the rest stop, heard those words, causing her face to turn even more livid with anger. She understood that Ning Cheng had deliberately passed those words to her ears. He was ridiculing her for coming here to sell out her female disciple. The women of her floating snow palace were as pure as ice and as pure as jade. How could Su Anjin's people compare to them? Ning Cheng, of course, deliberately angered Sang Jieju. This woman truly did not know contentment and had thick skin. In the past, when she came to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, it was also because she wanted to use his things. Ning Cheng was sure that even if he had agreed in the past, even if he gave the things to the floating snow palace, Yin Kongchan would not have become his Dao companion. She had the same idea as Su Anjin when she told him about Su Yingde, it was all fake. This time was also the same, except that this time she came here for the spiritual vein. Moreover, she wanted to use Yan Ji to help Yin Kongchan. It would have been a strange thing if Ning Cheng showed a good face to her. If one said that Sang Jieju wanted Yan Ji and Yin Kongchan to become his Dao companions at the same time, only an idiot would believe such a thing. Senior apprentice Sister Tan, this is the part you deserve. Ning Cheng was a man of his words. After activating the restrictions once again, he took out a ring and gave it to Tan Yun. He had already divided the spiritual vein. Tan Yun quickly spoke up, I only need 1/10 of it. I did not put in much effort. Moreover, you already got too much. Ning Cheng stood up and spoke, no need, how much is what I said. I will have to say my goodbyes, I hope to see you again. Ha, Sect Master Ning, I finally found you this time. You don't have to be in such a hurry to leave. Don't run around this time, lest I feel uncomfortable looking for you. A voice interrupted Tan Yun's words, while a gray-robed man stood at the entrance of the booth. Ning Cheng's expression did not change, but a murderous intent surged in his heart. This person dared to openly break his shielding restriction, rudely breaking into other people's private conversation, and even spoke in such an arrogant manner. Chapter 431. Crucible Transformation 9th Level. No, it's not the cultivation of Crucible Transformation Realm, this grey-robed man seems to have a higher cultivation than Crucible Transformation Realm. When Ning Cheng could not sense the exact cultivation of the opposite party, his heart sank slightly, he finally understood why the opposite party was so fearless. This strength could completely crush him. You have quite a temper, but it seems that you are quite forgetful. To think that you don't even remember that we have met before. Ning Cheng's killing intent surged out, and this gray-robed man immediately felt it, as he spoke out in a sarcastic tone. Ning Cheng was moved in his heart. He immediately remembered who this person was. Wasn't he the man who fought with Su Anjin in the sky above the Yixing Ocean? In that case, the two of them had really met before. The gray-robed man stared at Ning Cheng and sneered, "No wonder after Su Anjin remembered who you were, she did not even care about me, and even looked for you everywhere." From the words of this gray-robed man, Ning Cheng knew that he had deceived Su Anjin, but soon Su Anjin remembered who he was, and immediately looked for him everywhere. Thinking that Su Anjin was looking for him, Ning Cheng felt his heart tremble. He was sure that he was not Su Anjin's opponent. What made him puzzled was that since Su Anjin was looking for him, why couldn't she find him? According to reason, Su Anjin could easily catch up to him. Ning Cheng then spoke to Tan Yun on the side, "Senior apprentice Sister Tan, you can leave first. I have something to take care of." Tan Yun looked at the gray-robed man and felt her heart trembling. She knew that she would not be of any use in this place. She quickly said to Ning Cheng, "Then I will take my leave first. I owe you a favor." After Tan Yun left, the gray-robed man spoke up in a calm voice, "Come with me. Don't make me do anything here. Even if this is the Heavenly Dao public square, I can still restrain you in the shortest possible time." Ning Cheng completely calmed down. In the face of this kind of expert, any kind of reasoning would be useless. There were only two ways to deal with this kind of person. One was tactics, and the other was strength. "It has nothing to do with you, but I want to ask you something. Since Su Anjin wanted to chase after me, why couldn't she catch up to me?" Ning Cheng spoke out in a deep voice. He was ready to slip away at any time. "There is no harm in telling you," she was stopped by Rui Baishan. "I would like to thank you for your appearance. If not for your sudden appearance, then Su Anjin would have chased after you." Rui Baishan really would not have been able to force her out. "Do you think I should thank you or not?" The gray-robed man walked to the table and sat down. He picked up the spiritual teapot on the table and drank a few mouthfuls from the pot. "Papa, what a trashy spirit tea. I heard that you're very rich, but you actually drink this kind of trash spirit tea." After listening to the words of the gray-robed man, Ning Cheng instantly understood what was going on. While Su Anjin and this gray-robed man were fighting, Rui Baishan was unexpectedly able to silently hide on the side. Rui Baishan definitely wanted to wait for the two of them to mutually injure each other before making his move. However, Ning Cheng did not expect that his appearance would cause Rui Baishan to fall short of success. Rui Baishan, in order to not let Su Anjin kill him, took the initiative to appear and stop Su Anjin. Because of Rui Baishan's appearance, his idea of being a fisherman fell through. "I have no enmity with you, so why do you want me to follow you?" Ning Cheng calmed down. He once again owed Rui Baishan a favor. However, he was not very worried about Rui Baishan. Although Su Anjin was insidious and deceitful, wanting to kill Rui Baishan was something impossible. The gray-robed man stood up and spoke, "I thought about it afterwards. For a person like Su Anjin to chase after a puny sea-opening realm cultivator like you, presumably you have some kind of secret on you. I specifically came back to ask around, and found out that you are Ning Cheng. You have the 9-colored mirage tree and mirage stones on you, as well as a pile of spiritual enhancement true nectar. Maybe you even have the geocentric 9 essence. Originally, if you had given me those things, I could have let you go once. Unfortunately, I want to find Su Anjin to exchange for something, as such I must bring you to Su Anjin. Where is Sect Master Rui?" Ning Cheng knew that since things had already reached this point, then even if he became anxious, it would not be of any use. "I'm sorry, but I do not know where Rui Baishan is. If you still do not move, then do not blame me for being impolite." The gray-robed man spoke as he raised his hand to grab Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng did not move but spoke up, "Answer one more question of mine, and I can leave with you." "Ask away." The gray-robed man on hearing Ning Cheng's words retracted his hand. "Is my Rainbow Fall Sword sect's yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword on you? Moreover, who are the people who wanted to deal with my Rainbow Fall Sword sect?" Ning Cheng stared at the gray-robed man's eyes and asked. The yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword sect was the symbol of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, as such the importance of this sword to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect could be imagined. Without this sword, even if the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's strength was restored to its original state, it would still lose a bit of its reputation. Ning Qing thought about it. If the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword was not on the opposite party, then he would immediately make his move. He was sure that the Heavenly Dao Public Square's Dao Master would definitely come out to help. If the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword was truly on him, then he would have to leave together with this grey-robed man no matter what. If they did not leave together, then even if a fight broke out, with the help of the Heavenly Dao Public Square's Dao Master, he would be able to kill this grey-robed man, and the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword would not be able to return to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. That's right. The yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword is on me. As for who else wanted to deal with the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, I do not know. As the grey-robed man spoke, he showed impatience. Ning Qing calmly spoke up, then lead the way, I'll go with you. Good, no wonder Rui Baishan took a fancy to you, and even chose you as his successor, you really do have a bit of courage. The grey-robed man glanced at Ning Qing and spoke with appreciation. Ning Qing felt extremely uncomfortable in his heart. It was as if he was talking to an extremely poisonous snake. That person's cultivation is not below yours or mine, even I cannot see through his strength. A black-robed old man stared at Ning Qing and the grey-robed man disappearing from the Heavenly Dao Public Square and spoke up in a deep voice. The green-robed man beside him spoke up in an affirmative tone. Ning Qing seems to have been coerced by this person to leave. Although Ning Qing is good, but compared to this person, he is still a bit worse. Ning Qing is now a sect master, do you want to go and have a look? Moreover, I always feel that this person is somewhat familiar. That's exactly what I was thinking. The black-robed old man finished speaking, and immediately escaped into the air. The green-robed man did not delay for even half a moment, and followed the black-robed old man out of the Heavenly Dao Public Square. As soon as the green-robed man and the black-robed old man caught up, Ning Qing immediately became aware of them. He knew both of these people. The green-robed man was the Heavenly Dao Academy's Dao Master Xiao Bisheng, but he was even more familiar with the black-robed old man. He was the Heaven Alliance's Dao Master Mu Ziming, who had given him a bottle of essence birthing bamboo pith. The grey-robed man did not seem to be aware of it, and still continued to move forward quickly. Ning Qing even suspected that once the grey-robed man moved forward at full speed, his low-grade flight-type true artifact would not be able to catch up. The four people hurried on with their journey, and walked for a full half a month. Just when Ning Qing was guessing that they had already left the Tian continent's boundary, the grey-robed man's flight-type magical artifact suddenly descended at full speed, causing Ning Qing to discover that the surrounding space had suddenly turned ice-cold. The place he was in was like an abyss without any earth. He did not know how deep it was, and the surroundings were completely empty. Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness swept out, but he could only feel nothingness. Ning Qing secretly cried out in his heart. He was inexplicably brought to this place by this person. He immediately tried to control his true artifact airship, but to his disappointment, his true artifact airship was not under his control at all. It was as if a powerful suction force was forcing him to dive down. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness found that Xiao Bisheng and Mu Ziming were also the same as him, unable to control their flight-type magical artifact. Moreover, the grey-robed man's speed had actually slowed down, which meant that the other party could control their speed. Haha! Xiao Bisheng, Mu Ziming, you two ignorant fools, go in with me. The grey-robed man suddenly stopped, as he stood on top of a stone that Ning Cheng was unable to distinguish the color of, as he laughed. Ning Cheng threw out one array flag after another, which finally slowed down his airship-type magical artifact. Just as his speed slowed down, Mu Ziming and Xiao Bisheng, who were behind him, instantly rushed past Ning Cheng and entered a blue hole that even his spiritual consciousness could not sweep into. The grey-robed man stood at the entrance of the blue hole, holding his hands together as he looked at Ning Cheng continuously throwing out array flags, before speaking in a calm voice. You have not been sucked in yet, not because of your array formation, but because you have not advanced to the crucible transformation realm, as such the law-binding force has not yet arrived. Don't do such meaningless things, hurry up and go in. Even if the gray-robed man did not say anything, Ning Qing did not intend to do such useless things. He found that his true essence and spiritual consciousness were getting more and more uncontrollable. If it went on like this, then he would soon become a fish on the chopping block. Ning Qing calmed down, as his mind raced. This gray-robed man was standing at the entrance of the blue hole, moreover, he did not move at all. Most likely, he was also afraid of this blue hole. If he was sucked into the blue hole, and this gray-robed man did not go in, it would definitely not be a good thing for him. Even if he had to go in, he would have to drag this fellow along with him. Ning Qing immediately put away his flight-type magical artifact, while at the same time desperately stimulated the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. Sure enough, under the stimulation of the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, Ning Cheng's falling speed suddenly came to a halt. Ning Qing did not hesitate for even half a moment, as the Nirvana spear in his hands shot out. An incomparably mysterious spear intense trajectory cut through the incomparably cold space of nothingness. Suddenly, a black spear's shadow appeared in the surrounding void, as this spear's shadow directly stabbed towards the glabella of the gray-robed man. The gray-robed man's complexion immediately changed, as he immediately twisted his body. The gray-robed man's figure had just twisted a bit, when his body was sucked into the blue hole's powerful suction. What a treacherous beast! Ning Qing heard the angry roar of the gray-robed man, while at the same time, he was also sucked into the blue hole by a powerful suction. The next moment, he also rushed into the blue hole. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness was not able to clearly see anything inside the blue-colored cave. He had just come in, when countless sounds of wind breaking could be heard brushing past him. Ning Qing did not dare to neglect, as he swept out with his Nirvana spear. Bang bang bang. After a burst of dull crashing sounds, Ning Qing discovered that the things attacking him were actually vines. Each of these vines was extremely thick, as if they were Dharma treasures refined from the most powerful materials. Ning Cheng's Nirvana spear swept over them, but it did not cause any damage. Chapter 432. Ning Qing did not have the time to check on Xiao Bisheng and the others, when even more rattan branches swept over them. Ning Qing was greatly shocked in his heart, as he completely brought out the 36 cosmic true devil axes, forming a defensive axe array around him. Pa pa pa. The dense cluster of blue-colored vines slapped on top of Ning Cheng's axe shadow, issuing a continuous sound. Every time these rattan vines slapped against him, Ning Qing could feel his true essence shaking. There was simply no need to think about it. Ning Qing was very clear that the moment his true essence and spiritual consciousness were exhausted, he would be completely wrapped up by these vines. Ning Qing grabbed a handful of array flags and threw them out. He wanted to use the cosmic true devil axe to block the gaps between the vines, and arrange a defensive array formation. At this time, Ning Qing simply did not have the time to observe the situation around him, as he threw out one array flag after another. A defensive array formation wall was arranged around him. It was not until the embryonic form of the defensive array formation was completed that Ning Qing finally had the time to observe the situation around him. If he had not looked at it, Ning Qing felt that he would have been able to escape, but when he looked at it, his heart immediately sank to the bottom. In the green cave, white skeletons were wrapped by countless vines. There was no need to guess at all to know that these skeletons had fought with these vines before they ended up in such a state. Xiao Bisheng, Mu Ziming, as well as the gray-robed man, were also in the same situation as him, desperately fighting against the terrifying vines surrounding them. Senior Mu, what are these things? Why is he so difficult to deal with? When Ning Qing discovered that Mu Ziming and Xiao Bisheng were also unable to completely extricate themselves from the vines, he felt incomparably shocked in his heart. Mu Ziming and Xiao Bisheng were both above the crucible transformation realm, this was a certainty. Even those above the crucible transformation realm were unable to break free. Even if he arranged an array formation, how long would it last? Mu Ziming gasped for breath before speaking up. Ning Qing, if you have a way to escape from this place, then hurry up and leave. This is an underworld crow ghost rattan. It is incomparably terrifying and specializes in sucking out the spiritual soul and flesh of people. Once one was wrapped by these vines, no matter how powerful one was, their blood essence would be completely absorbed by these vines and they would eventually die. Do you see the white bones here? These white bones are an example. I really didn't expect that the Tian continent would have such a terrible and vicious thing. If one day this kind of thing grows out of the ground, then the entire Tian continent and even the Yixing mainland would become the foundation of the underworld crow ghost rattan. Xiao Bisheng's complexion also turned pale as he spoke. The rattan vines surrounding him continued to brush down. Ning Cheng's gaze swept towards the gray-robed man. This gray-robed man was a bit better than Xiao Bisheng and Mu Ziming, as he seemed to have a way to resist the ghost rattan. However, regardless of whether they had a way or not, their attainments in array formations were not as strong as Ning Cheng's. Moreover, they also did not have the 36 best quality true artifact small axes. As such, they could only rely on their own powerful cultivation to resist. Senior Mu, can you recognize this scum in gray? He snatched my Rainbow Fall Sword sect's yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword and plotted against my Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Ning Cheng once again turned to Mu Ziming and asked. Before Mu Ziming could speak, Xiao Bisheng took the initiative to reply. I felt that he was somewhat familiar before, but now I finally remember. This person's name is Jia Shisan, and his nickname is King Wuha. On top of that, he was also a Tier 9 Heavenly Pill Grandmaster. I heard that he went to the Heavens Road several hundred years ago. I didn't expect that he would still stay in the Tian continent to harm people. Wuha. Ning Cheng repeated those two words in doubt. Regarding a Tier 9 Heavenly Pill Grandmaster, although others regarded him as a legend, he did not care about it at all. As long as he wanted to, he could advance to the Tier 8 Pill Grandmaster realm at any time. If he had enough spiritual grasses, advancing to the Tier 9 Heavenly Pill Grandmaster realm would not be impossible. Mu Ziming spoke up in a deep voice. In the Yixing mainland, there is one of the most poisonous snakes called black herds. The reason why Jia Shisan's nickname is Wuha, is because he is 3 times more poisonous than the most poisonous snake, black herds. Even a crucible transformation cultivator, if poisoned by this snake's venom, would only end up dead. Several hundred years ago, this person destroyed 27 academies in the Tian continent, without sparing even the fowls and dogs. The reason for that was because he was looking for a spiritual grass. He suspected that this spiritual grass was in the hands of those 27 academies, causing him to destroy so many academies. I don't know how he found the location of the underworld crow ghost rattan, and even deceived us to come here. This scum came looking for me because he knew that I had the 9-colored mirage tree and the mirage stones. However, he did not think that he would end up implicating the 2 seniors. Regardless of what Mu Ziming and Xiao Bisheng's intentions were, Ning Cheng still had a good impression of Mu Ziming and Xiao Bisheng. I understand, this person wants the underworld crow ghost rattan king. Although the underworld crow ghost rattan king is extremely difficult to refine, but he can use the 9-colored mirage tree to confuse the ghost rattan king and refine it. Mu Ziming spoke up in horror. The gray-robed man suddenly laughed. Since you know that I am called Jia Shisan, wait for this king to come out, then I will definitely throw all the disciples of the Tian continent's top 10 academies here to refine my underworld crow ghost rattan king. Ning Cheng suddenly thought of the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword on Jia Shisan. If Jia Shisan wanted to use the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword to deal with these underworld crow ghost rattan branches, then the results would be unknown. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng no longer spoke any nonsense, as 12 cosmic true devil axes immediately shot towards Jia Shisan. Jia Shisan had a much easier time dealing with these underworld crow ghost rattan compared to Mu Ziming and Xiao Bisheng. However, when Ning Cheng added in the underworld crow ghost rattan vines to attack Jia Shisan immediately found it difficult to deal with them. If he knew about Ning Cheng's thoughts, he would have definitely spat out blood and screamed in madness. Was the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword really that easy to refine? Little bastard, you're crazy. Seeing Ning Cheng besieged by so many underworld crow ghost rot tan, yet the opposite party still dared to attack him, Jia Shisan felt incomparably angry. Although he was angry, he could not stop Ning Cheng's attack. If not for the underworld crow ghost rot tan, Ning Cheng's attack would have only felt like a tickle to Jia Shisan. However, with the underworld crow ghost rot tan's attack, Ning Cheng's attack was equivalent to adding frost to a snow-capped mountain. As the saying goes, a load does not add a kilogram, a boat does not add a load. It was already very hard for you to carry a load of things. If you added a kilogram on top of that load, then maybe you would end up being crushed. Ning Cheng's attack on Jia Shisan caused the underworld crow ghost rot tan to turn even more crazy. In just a few dozen breaths, Jia Shisan found himself entangled by a ghost rot tan vine. Not waiting for him to push away this ghost rot tan vine, a new ghost rot tan vine descended. Ning Cheng withdrew his cosmic true devil axes. It was not that he did not want to continue throwing stones at someone who was down, but he did not have the ability to do so. His array formation, under the countless underworld crow ghost rot tan's attacks, gave out bursts of ka-ka sounds, and looked like it would soon crack. He had no choice but to withdraw his cosmic true devil axes to protect himself. Time was just like flowing water, as the years continued to pass by. In a blink of an eye, 20 years had already passed since the duel between Ning Cheng and Yin Yang Dao sect surpassing Yin Yang Dao sect in the Heavenly Dao public square. 20 years in the mortal world was equivalent to a cycle of vicissitudes. Even in the Tian continent, 20 years had also brought about tremendous changes. 20 years ago, after Ning Cheng and Rong Jin's duel, he left the Heavenly Dao public square and disappeared from the Tian continent. After Ning Cheng's disappearance, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect did not change much, because the Rainbow Fall Sword sect master, Rui Baishan, suddenly returned. At the same time, the Severing Emotions Dao sect also suddenly opened up. After Rui Baishan returned, he did not take over the position of sect master. Instead, he retired and became the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's Grand Elder. At the same time, he issued several statements. In addition to Ning Cheng remaining the Rainbow Fall Sword sect master, there was another one that stated that if the Mirage Gazing Island did not send Liang Kursan to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect would raze the Mirage Gazing Island to the ground. The Mirage Gazing Island did not show any resistance, nor did they find any reason. On the third day after the Rainbow Fall Sword sect issued the statement, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's disciple Liang Kursan was sent to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, while at the same time compensating them with a large number of spirit stones. At that time, apart from the grey-robed man who had come looking for Ning Cheng, there was also the Heavenly Dao Academy's Dao Master Xiao Bisheng and the Heaven Alliance's Dao Master Mu Ziming. There were also people who saw them, and as the few of them went missing, the news spread. 20 years ago, the last person Ning Cheng saw was Dan, who had reached the Crucible Transformation 4th level. At the same time, he openly intercepted Jiang Jun of the Red Star Sword faction and killed him. The Red Star Sword faction did not come out to seek revenge for the matter of Tan Yun killing Jiang Jun. As such, this matter was left unsettled. After Tan Yun killed Jiang Jun, she did not immediately return to the Great Change Island, but rather arrived at the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. As for why she went to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, no one knew. Only Sang Jieju could vaguely guess a few things. Tan Yun's spiritual vein had not been completely used up. She should have sent the spiritual vein to Ning Cheng's little sister. Rainbow Fall Sword sect's main peak, Rainbow Fall Sword Peak. Although Rui Baishan had already returned, he did not take back this place. This place was still Ning Cheng's immortal cave. At this time, several people were sitting in a circle in the discussion hall, with Ji Luofei sitting in the seat of honor. In addition, Ning Rulan, Nan Yuefang, Yang Honghua, Taishu Pingho, Lian Yi, Zhang Qian, Liang Kursan, and the others were also present. Even Grey Toot Toot was huddled around Ji Luofei. Compared to before, Grey Toot Toot looked even more ordinary. These people were also the disciples of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's main peak, and also the people around Ning Cheng. Only Tan Yun was not a person from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. However, Tan Yun had been living in the Rainbow Fall Sword sect for many years, and had even brought out the spiritual vein for everyone to cultivate with. As such, no one treated her as an outsider. If not for Tan Yun bringing out the spiritual vein, everyone's cultivation speed would not have been this fast. News came from the outside, saying that Big Brother, Senior Xiao Bisheng and Senior Mu Ziming besieged that gray-robed man, and then entered Heaven's Way. I don't think this statement makes any sense. If Big Brother wants to enter Heaven's Way, then he would definitely tell us. It is absolutely impossible for him to enter Heaven's Way alone. After 20 years of ups and downs, Ning Rulan had already matured. Although her appearance had not changed, her cultivation had already reached the soul essence 3rd level. Ji Luofei nodded. Rulan is right, Ning Cheng would not enter Heaven's Way for no reason. Our cultivations are still too low to go out and investigate. I'll go look for Elder Taishang Rui and ask him about it. Ji Luofei's qualifications were a bit higher than Ning Rulan's, but because she was too worried about Ning Cheng, her cultivation also remained at the soul essence realm. In contrast, Taishu Pingho was at the late stages of soul essence. You don't have to worry about it, I have already calculated that Ning Cheng is fine. As for whether or not he entered Heaven's Way, I am not very clear about it. The Profound Light Chamber of Commerce is willing to take out the branch of the 9-colored mirage tree that Ning Cheng had left behind in the past, and Liang Kersen is also willing to take out the 9-colored mirage stones. With these things, the quota for entering Heaven's Way would greatly increase. After you cultivate to the Crucible Transformation Realm, you can enter Heaven's Way with me. Rui Baishan looked a bit older compared to the past, however, in the face of Ji Luofei and Ning Rulan, he was very patient. Although Ji Luofei and Ning Rulan were eager to see Ning Cheng, they also knew the gravity of the situation. They understood that Elder Taishang Rui was doing this for their own good. Deputy Headmaster Tan Taifei, who was sitting on the side, was just about to speak when an external affairs disciple hurried in to report, Elder Taishang, Headmaster, there is a Crucible Transformation senior outside the sect by the name of Meng Jingxiu. She said that she is a friend of Headmaster Ning. Chapter 433. Ning Cheng's face was extremely pale, and he looked extremely thin. If not for his attainments in array formations advancing to rank 8, he would have long since had his essence blood sucked dry by the surrounding vines. Even so, it was still extremely difficult for him to persist. Over the past 20 years, he had almost used up all the materials he had on him to set up the array formation. He was not sure how long he could persist. 20 years ago, he was at the 4th level of Sea Opening Realm. 20 years later, he was still at the 4th level of Sea Opening Realm. Apart from the fact that his spiritual consciousness was constantly tempered and strengthened due to being trapped, his cultivation had not advanced even half a step. He had even tried using the Maximal Flame spiritual technique once. Unfortunately, although the Maximal Flame spiritual technique was extremely powerful, it could not affect the Underworld Crow Ghost Rot Tan with the false spatial collapse. The Maximal Flame spiritual technique indeed managed to burn the surrounding vines in an instant, however, he could not rush to the entrance of the cave before he was sucked in once again. Fortunately, his 36 cosmic true devil axes and his array formation methods saved him once again, allowing him to persist until today. If not for cultivation, how many 20 years would he have in his life? If not for a cultivator, not to mention 20 long years of life, he would have to fight against these vines every day. Even if a person was trapped in a place for 20 years, it would still drive them crazy. Ning Cheng was in a difficult situation. Compared to Xiao Bisheng, Mu Ziming and Jia Shisan, he was many times better off. Xiao Bisheng, Mu Ziming and the other two had already been entangled by the vines more than a decade ago. Although their cultivations were above the Crucible Transformation realm, their situation was not as good as Ning Cheng's. If not for their cultivation, the three of them would have long since turned into skeletons under the Underworld Crow Ghost Rot Tan. Even so, at this moment, the three of them had a skinny appearance. Jia Shisan, since we are going to die anyway, why don't you give Ning Cheng the method to capture the Underworld Crow Ghost Rot Tan King with the 9-colored mirage tree? maybe Ning Cheng can save our lives. The skinny Xiao Bisheng could not bear it anymore. He knew that he could not persist for another 20 years. Jia Shisan opened and closed his skeleton-like mouth and snorted, "You said it yourself, since we are going to die anyway, why should I let this cunning thing control my life and death?" Ning Cheng had the 9-colored mirage tree. Once Ning Cheng could use the 9-colored mirage tree to affect the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan, then his life and death would truly be in Ning Cheng's hands. Although he spoke out with extreme resentment towards Ning Cheng, but in fact, the two people in his heart that he hated the most were Xiao Bisheng and Mu Ziming. If not for these two fellows, he would not have needed to enter this place to subdue Ning Cheng. He could have subdued Ning Cheng first, and then brought him to this place as a sacrifice to the vines. It was precisely because of the appearance of these two meddlesome fellows that he had no choice but to lead Xiao Bisheng and the other into the blue cave. Originally, he wanted to catch Ning Cheng the moment he was sucked into the blue hole, but he had never thought that Ning Cheng would unexpectedly have such a breathtaking spear intent. Moreover, he even had the twin heavenly cloud wings. This caused his plan to fail. Not only did he fail to capture the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan King, but he also ended up becoming food for the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan. In fact, even without Jia Shisan's words, Ning Cheng had already tried everything to use the 9-colored mirage tree to recover the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan King in this place. Unfortunately, on one hand, he had to refine array flags to block these vines, on the other hand, he also had to improve his array formation level. If not for his mysterious yellow formless cultivation method being incomparably heaven-defying, he would not have the leisure to think about the matter of the 9-colored mirage tree capturing the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan King. Using the 9-colored mirage tree to capture the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan King, if it was so simple, then among the 4 people here, Jia Shisan would not be the only one who knew about it. Ning Cheng, you once cast a fire attribute magical skill, which seemed to have caused the surrounding space to collapse, and then the flames completely burned the surroundings. Don't you have a strange flame? Mu Ziming did not try to persuade Jia Shisan. He was much more clear about Jia Shisan's character compared to Xiao Bisheng. This person was definitely a ruthless person. He was ruthless to others and equally ruthless to himself. Asking him to hand over the method to subdue the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan King using the 9-colored mirage tree was absolutely impossible. Ning Cheng sighed and said, "That's right, I do indeed have a fire seed, but this fire seed has also sprouted, and has turned into a real flame. Unfortunately, it was still in its embryonic form and its level was too low. Even if it was the magical skill that I had cast, it required the support of my true essence and spiritual consciousness to complete. Now that my true essence is exhausted, I am unable to cast this magical skill again. I'm not asking you to continue casting this magical skill, but to directly burn these underworld crow ghost Rot Tans with fire. These ghost Rot Tans are definitely afraid of this strange flame. Once you can use this flame to burn them, maybe we can all get out of this predicament." Mu Ziming's voice trembled slightly. He was just guessing, he did not think that Ning Cheng would really have this kind of strange flame. If not for this kind of place, he would never have asked Ning Cheng about this strange flame. Possessing this kind of thing was a cultivator's biggest secret, and inquiring about this kind of thing was definitely a taboo. Now that everyone was trapped in this place, if they did not think of a way out, then only death awaited them. Ning Cheng gave a bitter smile and spoke, "Senior Mu, I do have this flame. As I said a moment ago, the level of my flame is too low, and there is no way to burn these ghost Rot Tans. If I could burn them, I would have already done it." "What kind of flame do you have?" Mu Ziming's tone did not show much disappointment, instead, he was looking forward to it. He was tightly bound to the wall of the blue hole by the countless Rot Tans, as such he found it somewhat difficult to speak. His excited tone could still be expressed through this kind of strenuous effort. "It's called Star River Flame, I don't know what kind of flame it is." Ning Cheng did not conceal it and honestly replied. "Star River Flame." Mu Ziming frowned and repeated the words. He had never heard of such a flame, was it because he was ignorant and inexperienced? Xiao Bisheng suddenly spoke up from the side, "Brother Mu, I heard that you have a desiccated purple flame heart, is it true? Mu Ziming also gave a sigh and spoke, that's right, I did indeed obtain a desiccated purple flame heart. In the past, I almost died in the desiccated flame realm, and had to go through many hardships. Finally, it was not in vain, and I managed to obtain this desiccated purple flame heart. Originally, I was thinking of finding a good flame in the future, so that this desiccated purple flame heart could play its role. Unfortunately, a famous flame between the heavens and the earth is as rare as a phoenix feather or a unicorn horn in my I Xing mainland. It is something that can only be found by chance and not sought. Ning Qing felt moved in his heart. He did not know much about the various kinds of strange flames between the heavens and the earth. However, the desiccated purple flame heart was like a thunderclap piercing his ears. One could say that among all the materials he had, even the cosmic true devil metal was not as good as this desiccated purple flame heart. Other than the materials for the nirvana spear that he did not know, the only thing that he could take out was the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. The desiccated purple flame heart was a top-notch treasure that could allow flames to evolve. Did Mu Ziming want to give this thing to him so that his star river flame could evolve? Sure enough, Ning Cheng had just thought of this, when Mu Ziming spoke up, Ning Cheng, I have a desiccated purple flame heart here, which can allow any of the strange flames between the heavens and the earth to evolve. However, the worse the grade of the flame, the longer it would take. Even if it was a better flame, it would still take more than 100 years. As for the worse flames, it would even take hundreds of years. I can't hold on for such a long time, but I have a piece of soul-nourishing wood, so that I can fall in advance, and then leave behind a trace of my life essence in the soul-nourishing wood. I only have one request, that is, Ning Cheng, if you manage to escape, please bring this trace of my life essence to my son, Mu Qian. Ning Cheng spoke up with joy, Senior can rest assured, my flame is different from ordinary flames. Maybe in just a few years, it would be able to evolve. Therefore, Senior does not need to be anxious, let me give it a try first. The reason why Ning Cheng had such confidence was that he knew where his flame came from. This was a flame from the immortal mansion, how could an ordinary heaven and earth fire seed compare to it? Mu Ziming reluctantly showed a smile and spoke, I can persist for another 10 or 20 years. Saying that, Mu Ziming threw out a jade box. He still had a few words that he did not say. For him, persisting for a day was equivalent to suffering for another day. Jia Shisan looked at the jade box on the ground, while his skeletal eyes turned back and forth. What made him feel helpless was that, at this moment, only Ning Cheng had the means to pick up the jade box on the ground with his spiritual consciousness. If one had to say which academy was the most prosperous in the Tian continent in recent years, then it would undoubtedly be the Rainbow Fall Sword sect that did not have a sect master. 15 years ago, a crucible transformation cultivator by the name of Meng Jingxiu joined the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. After that, crucible transformation cultivators emerged one after another in the academy. Especially the Rainbow Fall Sword peak of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Ning Cheng had only been away for a short period of 30 to 40 years, when 5 crucible transformation cultivators appeared. Ning Ruolin, Ji Luofei, Taishu Pingho, Zhang Qian and Liang Kersen. Even the youngest crucible transformation cultivator in the Tian continent appeared, Taishu Pingho. Even if the qualifications of Yang Honghua, Nan Yuefang, Zhuang Jingyi, Lian Yi were slightly worse, they at least had a cultivation above the soul essence realm. In contrast, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's core disciples and true inheriting disciples, such as Ke Hongshui, Luo Zian, Sun Hanrui, Hu Hong, Liang Shi, Xian Saixue, and the others, almost all of them had become crucible transformation cultivators. Even if the cultivators did not know about the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, they would still be able to understand the reason behind it. The Rainbow Fall Sword sect's Grand Elder Rui Baishan had opened the small spiritual domain, allowing all cultivators below the soul essence realm to enjoy the opportunity to cultivate in the small spiritual domain. Even if they exchanged points for cultivation time, it would not be as difficult as it was in the past. Of course, this was not the main reason. The most important thing was that the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak had a perception pagoda. This perception pagoda was established by the new elder of the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak, Meng Jingxiu. As long as one had a certain amount of qualifications, not only would one's cultivation speed be extremely fast inside this perception pagoda, it would also not have any bottlenecks. All the people who entered the perception pagoda to cultivate said that inside the perception pagoda, they could feel a new kind of spiritual qi. This spiritual qi was several times better than cultivating with spirit stones. Moreover, it allowed them to automatically comprehend some things that their masters could not teach them. The Rainbow Fall Sword Peak's discussion hall was filled with people. What was different from more than a decade ago was that half of the people here were crucible transformation experts. In addition to the disciples of the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak, even Ke Hongshui, Luo Zian, Sun Hanrui, Hu Hong, Liang Shi, and the others were present. Because this discussion was not a trivial matter. For Ke Hongshui and the other true inheriting disciples, the reason why they could advance to the crucible transformation realm in just a few decades was because of the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak's perception pagoda. Without this perception pagoda, even if they had a few more decades, it would still be impossible for so many crucible transformation cultivators to appear among them. Thinking about the source of drinking water, since the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak was in trouble, it was only right that they took action. Chapter 434. Senior Apprentice Sister Jing Xiu. According to our investigations and various clues, there are rumors that Sect Master has gone to Heaven's Way. Zhang Qian stood up and spoke. Not only him, but even the other disciples of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect were looking for the whereabouts of Sect Master Ning Cheng. In addition to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, the cultivators of the Heavenly Tao Academy and the Heaven Alliance were also looking for the whereabouts of Xiao Bisheng and Mu Ziming. Junior Apprentice Brother Zhang Qian, can you explain it in detail? Ning Rulan was the first to speak up. She hid the worries in her heart, but not seeing her big brother for a day, she always felt worried. Initially, her big brother did not feel at ease with her, and had passed through countless spaces to come back and take her away. Now that her big brother had gone missing, how could she not feel worried? However, she was very clear that even if she was worried, she had to improve her cultivation first. Before Senior Apprentice Sister Jing Xiu came, although her cultivation speed was not slow, wanting to reach the crucible transformation realm was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Even if Senior Apprentice Sister Tan Yun brought the spiritual vein, her cultivation could only reach the soul essence realm. Later, Senior Apprentice Sister Jing Xiu brought some strange pills and some crystal stones, which allowed the cultivation of everyone in the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak to rapidly improve. This made her feel very grateful towards Senior Apprentice Sister Jing Xiu. In this place, if one did not have the strength, one would not be able to achieve anything. Yes, I have repeatedly investigated it. The news that came out was that Sect Master and a grey-robed man had left the Heavenly Tao public square. Then Mu Ziming and Xiao Bisheng chased after them. At first, Sect Master, Xiao Bisheng and Mu Ziming besieged the grey-robed man. However, for some unknown reason, Sect Master suddenly attacked Mu Ziming, causing Xiao Bisheng to turn furious and turn to deal with Sect Master. This is absolutely impossible. Sect Master Ning and that grey-robed man could not have teamed up. That grey-robed man did not have a friendly attitude towards Sect Master. Tan Yun interrupted Zhang Qian's words. Zhang Qian sighed and spoke, I also know that it is impossible. In the past, Senior Mu Ziming had taken a liking to Sect Master Ning. Sect Master Ning is a person who values friendship, how could he possibly attack Senior Mu Ziming? What happened next? Ning Rulan had not seen Mu Ziming and Xiao Bisheng, what she cared about was the whereabouts of her elder brother Ning Cheng. Zhang Qian continued, according to the rumors, Sect Master Sneak attacked Mu Ziming, but was chased by Xiao Bisheng into the Heaven's Way. Xiao Bisheng and the seriously injured Mu Ziming did not want to enter the Heaven's Way. However, the grey-robed man went all out against them, forcing them to enter the Heaven's Way. Does the rumor mean that the grey-robed man did not enter Heaven's Way? Ning Rulan asked with a frown. Zhang Qian nodded his head. Not only did the grey-robed man not enter Heaven's Road, there were also rumors that the grey-robed man was someone else in disguise. That person's cultivation was not worse than Su Anjan's. Because he forced several opponents into Heaven's Way, that person restored his original appearance and returned to the academy. Then a few years ago, that person also entered Heaven's Road. Ning Rulan, Ji Luofei, and the others glanced at each other. As long as they were not fools, they would immediately realize that this was definitely a ploy to drive a wedge between them. Although the name of the gray-robed man was not mentioned, but everyone knew that the rumors were referring to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect master Rui Baishan. Because the timing of Rui Baishan's return was just too coincidental. Ning Cheng and the others had just disappeared, when Rui Baishan returned. Someone wants to drive a wedge between our Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Kei Hongshui spoke up without hesitation. Sect Master Rui and Senior Mu Ziming are also good friends, as such they would never do such a thing. Driving a wedge is definitely driving a wedge, however, Sect Master Ning being forced into Heaven's Way is most likely true. Otherwise, with the strength of my Rainbow Fall Sword sect, even if it was just the slightest clue, we would still be able to find it. Luo Xian's tone was filled with anger. The purpose behind this wedge, she could see it all too clearly. Someone wants my Rainbow Fall Sword sect's perception pagoda, or rather, their eyes are red with envy. Ning Rulan had been in the business world for several years, as such, she had long since seen through the filthy things involved. Regardless of whether her big brother had entered Heaven's Way or not, this rumor definitely came out for the sake of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's perception pagoda. At this moment, a fiery red flying sword fell into Ji Luofei's hands. Rainbow Fall Sword Peak's Ning Cheng was not present, as such, the person in charge here was Ning Cheng's fiancée, Ji Luofei. Although Meng Jingxiu held the title of Grand Elder, she did not care about the matters of the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak. Ji Luofei's spiritual consciousness swept through the contents of the flying sword, causing her complexion to immediately change. Red Star Sword Faction, Yin Yang Dao Sect, Heavenly Dao Academy, and many other small academies have once again publicly launched a crusade against the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Elder Tan Tai Fei wants us to hurry to the academy's main hall to discuss some matters. Meng Jingxiu did not speak, regardless of whether Ning Cheng went to Heaven's Way or not. She had to go to Heaven's Way because of the restrictions imposed by the Tian continent's laws. Her cultivation had already reached a bottleneck. She possessed an immortal mansion. If she ended up trapped in the Tian continent, it was simply unacceptable for her. Floating Snow Palace. Yan Ji, did you hear that Ning Cheng went to Heaven's Way, so you want to go to Heaven's Way? Sang Jieju looked at Yan Ji in front of her with a complicated gaze. Yan Ji was definitely the most talented disciple of her Floating Snow Palace. In just a few decades after joining the Floating Snow Palace, she had already reached the Crucible Transformation 3rd level. Even Yin Kongchan was only at the Crucible Transformation 2nd level. Master, the Floating Snow Palace will always be Yan Ji's academy. In the future, no matter what happens to Yan Ji, as long as I can return to the Tian continent, I will definitely come back to the Floating Snow Palace to visit. Yan Ji spoke with a bow. She did not directly answer Sang Jieju's question. She knew that she had not made much contribution to the academy before leaving the academy. Although it was wrong of her, she really could not stay. Moreover, the strength of the Floating Snow Palace was incomparably formidable. In the Tian continent, no other academies would dare to bully them. Sang Jieju gave out a sigh. Since you must go, then I will not keep you. I just want to tell you one thing. When you went into seclusion to attack the soul sculpting realm, I met Ning Cheng once, and even proposed marriage to him. Master, he. Yan Ji's eyes flashed with a fiery light. She did not think that her master would care about her so much. Knowing that she could not forget Ning Cheng, she even took the initiative to help her propose marriage. At this moment, her heart was thumping wildly. She really wanted to know what Ning Cheng had said. When Sang Jieju saw Yan Ji's expression, she knew that she had not guessed wrong at all. At that time, his reaction was very dull. He told me that he already had a wife, and asked me to take care of you a little. Then he said that it was impossible between you and him. Moreover, he said that if I had not mentioned it, he would have forgotten that you had also come to the Tian continent. Sang Jieju's tone was filled with a sigh, as if she felt that Yan Ji was not worth it. Yan Ji's face turned pale. She lowered her head and did not speak. What are your plans? Sang Jieju, on seeing Yan Ji's face, understood that Yan Ji's favorable impression of Ning Cheng should have plummeted. Yan Ji gave Sang Jieju a deep bow and spoke, "Many thanks for Master's teachings over the years. I want to go to Heaven's Way." Sang Jieju's smile suddenly froze. She did not think that Yan Ji would still want to go to Heaven's Way. Sect Master Tantai, I have a proposal. In the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's Assembly Hall, Ning Rulan took the initiative to speak up. Junior Apprentice Sister Rulan, please speak. Not to mention that Ning Rulan herself was a crucible transformation cultivator, just the fact that she was Ning Cheng's little sister was enough to earn Tantai Fei's respect. Ning Rulan gave a slight nod to the several grand elders and spoke, "This time, if we go all out, even if the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's strength is not worse than it was in the past, or even a bit stronger, it would not be able to resist the joint forces of these major academies. What I mean is that we should adopt a split attack method, divide two factions, and attack one faction." The long-eyebrowed Grand Elder Zhong Liping, who had been frowning, immediately took the initiative to speak up. "Rulan, quickly speak up. If not for Rui Baishan entering Heaven's Way, most people would not dare to come to the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect and act wildly." However, now that Rui Baishan was not here, Ning Rulan was Ning Cheng's little sister, and was also a crucible transformation cultivator. Perhaps she might have a good idea. Elders, Sect Master Tantai. These factions coming to our Rainbow Fall Sword Sect is completely out of ulterior motives. Their main purpose is to obtain our Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's Perception Pagoda. What I mean is that we should give the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's Perception Pagoda to one of the factions, and then split it up. Ning Rulan's words immediately caused an uproar. The reason why the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect had so many Sea-Opening Realm cultivators and Crucible Transformation Elders, was mainly because of the Perception Pagoda. If they gave away the Perception Pagoda, it would be no different than breaking their own arms. This is absolutely not possible. My Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword has already been taken away by others. If the Perception Pagoda was also taken away, then my Rainbow Fall Sword Sect would not have any face to continue existing in the Tian continent. What's more, the Perception Pagoda is the fundamental reason why my Rainbow Fall Sword Sect could rise in such a short period of time. Sect Master Rui could go to Heaven's Way with a peace of mind because my Rainbow Fall Sword Sect has the Perception Pagoda brought by Junior Apprentice Sister Jingxiu, which would allow us to continuously produce Crucible Transformation cultivators. Tantai Fei immediately objected. Meng Jingxiu showed a faint smile. "Sect Master Tantai, I think that Rulan is right. The Perception Pagoda is not a magical weapon, nor is it something extraordinary. It is just a best quality spiritual artifact. It cannot even be considered as a true artifact. The reason why the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect could produce so many Crucible Transformation cultivators with this pagoda is that it contains a kind of cultivation crystal stone. Now that the Perception Pagoda's crystal stones are almost exhausted, I do not have any extra crystal stones to put into the Perception Pagoda. Therefore, this Perception Pagoda is no different from chicken ribs." Ah! Tantai Fei and the rest of the elders looked at each other in dismay. The Perception Pagoda had always been placed on the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak, and was even under mysterious protection. They really did not know what secrets the Perception Pagoda held in the end. They did not expect that it would be so simple. It was no different from a spiritual gathering array. No wonder Ning Rulan proposed this plan. Unfortunately, the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect would no longer be able to produce so many Crucible Transformation cultivators. Which faction should we give the Perception Pagoda to? A Crucible Transformation female elder spoke up. She was the oldest Crucible Transformation elder of the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect. In the past, when the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect suffered a sneak attack, she had also managed to escape with serious injuries. Only after her injuries healed over the years did she return to the sect. Zhang Qian immediately spoke up, of course, we should give it to the Heavenly Tao Academy. The Heavenly Tao Academy is the most powerful of them all. If we can drive a wedge between the Heavenly Tao Academy and the other two academies, only then would we have a chance. Ning Rulan shook her head, no, we should give it to the Yin Yang Tao Academy. I heard that my elder brother has a good relationship with the Heavenly Tao Academy's Li Lingfan. Li Lingfan's master, Hu Taihe, is a crucible transformation 9th level cultivator and has great influence in the Heavenly Tao Academy. Sect Master Tantai can use this point to weaken the Heavenly Tao Academy's determination to join the fight. But the Heavenly Tao Academy's excuse is that Sect Master Ning forced Xiao Bisheng into the Heaven's Way. Zhang Qian quickly spoke up. Ning Rulan calmly spoke up, the reason why this excuse is an excuse is because they know that it is not true. Chapter 435. Outside the entrance of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, there were tens of thousands of cultivators gathered. Just like an army about to go to war, the two sides were clearly facing each other. On one side were the cultivators of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, while on the other side were the allied forces of the three major academies and many small academies. Sect Master Zhuqiu, you are the new sect master of the Heavenly Tao Academy. My Rainbow Fall Sword sect and your sect have never had any conflict, so why would your sect participate in besieging my Rainbow Fall Sword sect? Your sect's actions, wouldn't it make people despise you? That's right, because of what happened in the past, my Rainbow Fall Sword sect's vitality was indeed greatly damaged. However, in any case, my Rainbow Fall Sword sect is still one of the top 10 academies, and is not in existence that people can casually bully. Tan Tai Fei spoke with a hint of anger in his tone, apparently very dissatisfied with the Heavenly Tao Academy coming here. A middle-aged man dressed like a Confucian scholar from the Heavenly Tao Academy, who looked very gentle, after hearing these words, felt slightly embarrassed. Not waiting for him to speak, Yin Yang Tao sect's Ji Xiu spoke up with a cold snort. Ning Qing forced the Heavenly Tao Academy's Tao Master Xiao Bisheng into Heaven's Way, is that not a reason? Tan Tai Fei laughed. So the rumors are so credible in the eyes of Tao friend Ji. Don't say that my sect's sect master Ning disdains this kind of shady business. Even if the rumors are true, it would only be about plotting against elder brother Mu Ziming. Elder brother Mu Ziming is the Tao master of the Heaven Alliance. How come I did not see anyone from the Heaven Alliance coming, instead I saw some irrelevant people coming? Besides, does entering Heaven's Way lead to a dead end? My Rainbow Fall Sword sect's sect master Rui deliberately entered Heaven's Way a few years ago. According to what you said, is my sect's sect master courting death? Tan Tai Fei did not wait for Ji Xiu to refute, and once again spoke, Sect Master Zhuqiu, let's not talk about the credibility of this matter. My sect's sect master Ning and your sect's Tao friendly Ling Fan are good friends. Your Heavenly Tao Academy should not have brought people to besiege my Rainbow Fall Sword sect. I am not afraid of your Heavenly Tao Academy, but I want Sect Master Zhuqiu to think clearly. Once we start fighting, there would not be any leeway. Let's not even talk about whether or not your factions could completely destroy my Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Even if you manage to destroy my Rainbow Fall Sword sect, in the future when my sect's sect master Ning and Elder Taoist Rui return, it would still be a situation where they would fight to the death. In the past, when Sect Master Ning was in the Sea Opening Realm, he dared to kill many people who attacked my sect's mountain-protecting Grand Array. After all these years, Sect Master Ning should have already become a character above the Crucible Transformation Realm. I don't know how many academies would be able to withstand the anger of Sect Master Ning. Sect Master Zhuqiu of the Natural Law School had an ugly expression on his face. He knew that the rumors outside were highly untrue. He had come to participate in this siege not because of those rumors, but because of the Perception Pagoda. In his heart, he truly felt some dread towards Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng's fierce reputation was well known to the outside world. Even though he was only at the Sea Opening Realm, he had killed Rong Jin, who was at the Crucible Transformation 7th level, without any scruples. Once Ning Cheng stepped into the Crucible Transformation Realm, there would only be a few academies that could withstand his wrath. Tan Tai Fei did not continue to explain to Zhuqiu Gao. Instead, he turned towards the Yin-Yang Dao sect and cupped his fists towards an incomparably handsome young man before speaking. Sect Master Hao, in the past, our sect Master Ning and your sect's Rong Jin had a duel. However, I think that it is not easy for your esteemed academy to cultivate a crucible transformation cultivator. As such, my Rainbow Fall Sword sect is willing to show some sincerity to your esteemed academy. Hearing Tan Tai Fei's words, the handsome young man immediately pricked up his ears. Tan Tai Fei showed a faint smile. My Rainbow Fall Sword sect currently has two most valuable things. One is the small spiritual domain, which is something left behind by our ancestors. We have no right to take it away. The other one is the Perception Pagoda. Hearing the words Perception Pagoda, everyone immediately turned silent. This siege of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, although it sounded fair and aboveboard, it was actually for the sake of the Perception Pagoda. Now that Tan Tai Fei took the initiative to mention the Perception Pagoda, it would have been strange if they did not pay attention to it. Tan Tai Fei spoke in accordance with Ning Rulan's intentions. The reason why so many cultivators from my Rainbow Fall Sword sect entered the Crucible Transformation realm so quickly is mainly because of the Perception Pagoda. Unfortunately, the spiritual source inside the Perception Pagoda is about to run out, otherwise, we would have given the Perception Pagoda to the Yin-Yang Dao sect. Since the small spiritual domain and the Perception Pagoda cannot be given away, then. Humph, what you said sounds nice. The Perception Pagoda's spiritual source is about to run out. Ha, are you trying to deceive a 3-year-old child? Ji Xiu laughed, interrupting Tan Tai Fei's deliberately hesitant words. Seeing Tan Tai Fei's complexion change, and wanting to speak, the young sect master of the Yin-Yang Dao sect waved his hand. Sect Master Tan Tai, we did not really come here for anything. We just heard some rumors about Sect Master Ning, and wanted to maintain the stability of the Tian continent. When I heard Sect Master Tan Tai's words, I felt that my Yin-Yang Dao sect's actions were somewhat inappropriate. If the Perception Pagoda was still the same as before, with a sufficient spiritual source, then I really would not dare to take it. But since the Perception Pagoda is about to fail, then it would be for the best. Let the Perception Pagoda, which is about to be scrapped, be a witness to peace. I will place the Perception Pagoda on the Yin-Yang Dao sect's main peak, as a reminder to the Yin-Yang Dao sect's disciples. Tan Tai Fei's complexion turned even uglier. From an outsider's point of view, he did not even have the opportunity to refute it. If it was him who sent out the Perception Pagoda, then wouldn't it be the same as slapping his own mouth? Does Sect Master Tan Tai have some difficulties? The young sect master of the Yin-Yang Dao sect, on seeing Tan Tai Fei's appearance, suddenly asked in a playful tone. Of course not. I, Tan Tai Fei, am also a sect master. Junior apprentice Sister Jingxiu, you say? Tan Tai Fei finished speaking and looked at Meng Jingxiu. Meng Jingxiu did not speak any nonsense at all. With a wave of her hand, a multi-storied pagoda flew out of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect and landed on the public square between the two sides. At this moment, almost everyone's eyes were fixed on the Perception Pagoda, while countless spiritual consciousnesses swept into the Perception Pagoda. The rich spiritual qi inside caused everyone's minds to shake. It felt as if their cultivation had risen to a whole new level at this moment. I have already refined my spiritual consciousness. The Perception Pagoda is right here. Meng Jingxiu spoke in a calm tone. Good, 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 the Rainbow Fall Sword sect really is trustworthy. I, Hao Anya, will also abide by my promise and leave the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. The handsome sect master of the Yin-Yang Dao sect swept out with his spiritual consciousness towards the Perception Pagoda and immediately realized that this was the real Perception Pagoda. Although he had the cultivation of Crucible Transformation 6th level, when he felt the spiritual qi and the laws inside, he felt a slight loosening. If not for the Perception Pagoda, how could it have such an effect? While speaking, Hao Anya quickly put away the Perception Pagoda. Even if it was a best quality spiritual artifact, he, a Crucible Transformation 6th level cultivator, would not need to expend much effort to put it away. Let's go. The cultivators from the Yin-Yang Dao sect, under Haonya's call, quickly withdrew from the outside of the Rainbow Falls Sword Sect's public square without even half a moment of hesitation. Some of the smaller factions attached to the Rainbow Falls Sword Sect also began to leave. The people outside the Rainbow Falls Sword Sect immediately left, causing the faces of the several Crucible transformation cultivators from the Red Star Sword faction to turn livid. However, there was nothing they could do. The Yin Yang Dao sect had come here for the Perception Pagoda. Now that they had taken away the Perception Pagoda, how could they continue to stay here? They wanted to use the Yin Yang Dao sect to jointly destroy the Rainbow Falls Sword faction. At this moment, an incomparably fast ray of light flew over, and in just a blink of an eye, descended. Sect Master, I, Li Lingfan, and Sect Master Ning are best friends. In the past, Sect Master Ning even saved my life. How can my Heavenly Dao Academy besiege the Rainbow Falls Sword Sect with the other factions? A youth wearing a blue robe descended and immediately arrived in front of the Rainbow Falls Sword Sect's Sect Master Zhuqiu with an incomparably anxious tone. He had just advanced to the Crucible Transformation Realm, and when he heard that the Heavenly Dao Academy wanted to besiege the Rainbow Falls Sword Sect, he immediately rushed over. Fortunately, they had not started fighting yet. Although his master Hutaiha's cultivation was higher than the Sect Master, the Heavenly Dao Academy's Sect Master held a lot of power. As such, he could not bring out his master to suppress people. And, it seems that I lacked consideration in this matter. Let's go first. After the Heavenly Dao Academy's Sect Master Zhuqiu spoke this sentence, he then cupped his fists towards Tantai Fei and spoke, Sect Master Tantai, my Heavenly Dao Academy truly lacked consideration in this matter. If there is an opportunity in the future, I will definitely apologize to Sect Master Tantai. Well said, well said. Tantai Fei showed a faint smile and cupped his fists. In his heart, he truly admired Ning Ruolan. He certainly knew why Zhuqiu Gao wanted to retreat. It was definitely not because of his lack of consideration. Although Li Lingfan's persuasion had played a role, it was certainly not an absolute one. What really played a role was that the Yin Yang Dao sect had taken away the Perception Pagoda. With the Heavenly Dao Academy retreating, the cultivators who came to besiege the Rainbow Falls Sword Sect once again left by more than half. Only the Red Star Sword faction and some of the smaller factions remained. The Red Star Sword faction's sect master on seeing this knew that he could no longer besiege the Rainbow Falls Sword sect. He cupped his fists and spoke, since there is some misunderstanding in this matter, let's talk about it later. Let's go. Ha, want to leave? Do you think my Rainbow Falls Sword sect is a place where you can come and go as you please? Tantai Fei laughed. Although his tone contained killing intent, it did not contain even half a smile. Saying that, he turned to all the cultivators from the Rainbow Falls Sword sect behind him and spoke, in the past, when the Red Star Sword faction attacked my Rainbow Falls Sword sect's mountain ceiling grand array, Sect Master Ning single-handedly killed all the invaders from the Red Star Sword faction. Now that Sect Master Ning is not here, the Red Star Sword faction came to my Rainbow Falls Sword sect to behave atrociously. Do they think that my Rainbow Falls Sword sect is easy to bully? In the past, we let Sect Master Ning deal with many factions by himself, while none of us were able to contribute. Since Sect Master Ning is not here, what should we do? Kill! Cries of kill rang out in unison. Then kill them. Today, those who dare to invade my Rainbow Falls Sword sect, do not leave a single one alive. Kill them all. Tantai Fei finished speaking and immediately brought out his weapon and rushed out. At this moment, not only Tantai Fei, but all the cultivators from the Rainbow Falls Sword sect also rushed out. For a time, the Rainbow Falls Sword sect's outer perimeter was filled with killing sounds that shook the heavens, while countless lights from magical weapons lit up half the sky. Although the Red Star Sword faction had not brought out its entire sect, the Rainbow Falls Sword sect had brought out its entire sect this time. In the past few years, the Rainbow Falls Sword sect had gained a large number of cultivators above the Soul Essence realm. Moreover, it even had more Crucible transformation cultivators compared to the Red Star Sword faction. Coupled with the fact that they were currently fighting on their home ground, the killing intent that Tantai Fei had mobilized was even more berserk. Once caught in the middle of this berserk killing intent, those with lower cultivations would not even have the opportunity to fight back, before they would be torn to shreds. Chapter 436. The flames wrapping around the desiccated purple flame heart emitted a light crackling sound. Then, the desiccated purple flame heart turned into nothingness and disappeared without a trace. Ning Cheng looked at the celestial river in his hands in surprise. He knew that the celestial river had successfully advanced. Initially, when the celestial river flame wrapped around the desiccated purple flame heart, it was still a pale yellow color. But now, the celestial river flame had turned red. Since the celestial river flame originally belonged to him, Ning Cheng knew how much stronger the flame had become. "Ha, Senior Mu, I've succeeded." Ning Cheng laughed. For the past 20 years, in addition to fighting against the underworld ghost Rot-Tan every day, the rest of his energy was used to help Xing He advance. The speed at which the celestial river flame absorbed the desiccated purple flame heart was several times faster than ordinary flames. Coupled with Ning Cheng's help, the speed at which it absorbed the desiccated purple flame heart turned even faster. In just 20 years, it successfully advanced. "Senior Mu." Ning Cheng found that Mu Zimian could not even speak. 20 years ago, he still looked like a bag of bones. Now, he had completely turned into bones. Some dry skin had sunk into his bones, and it was unknown whether he was dead or alive. Ning Cheng then looked at Jia Shisan and Xiao Bisheng and found that they were not much better off. In fact, he himself was exhausted and extremely thin, and he looked as if he could be blown away by a gust of wind. It was only because he had the protection of the array formation that prevented the underworld ghost Rot-Tan from directly absorbing his blood essence. Moreover, he also had the Milky Way as a form of sustenance, that he had forgotten about his own situation. Ning Cheng did not have much time to think and directly brought out the celestial river sword in his hand. Apart from the maximal flame divine power, he didn't have any other fire attribute cultivation technique, so he could only use flames to burn directly. A red tongue of flame spewed out, just like an erupting volcano, causing Ning Cheng to feel a burst of burnt smell coming from the surroundings. The endless underworld ghost vines turned into ashes under the Milky Way. Ning Cheng sighed and walked out of the array formation. After being trapped for nearly 40 years, he even felt his legs turning to jelly when he suddenly walked out. The burning speed of the Milky Way was incomparably fast. In just a dozen or so breaths, the densely packed nether ghost Rot-Tans in the blue hole were completely burned away. The burnt smell filled the entire blue hole, making people want to puke. Fortunately, Ning Cheng had been trapped in this place for decades, and had long since become accustomed to the disgusting smell of the underworld ghost Rot-Tan. Plop. 3 consecutive sounds of someone falling to the ground could be heard. Without the entanglement of the underworld ghost Rot-Tan, Mu Ziming, Xiao Bisheng and Jia Shisan all fell to the ground. Ning Cheng quickly took out 2 pills and threw them into the mouths of Mu Ziming and Xiao Bisheng. When he could once again feel the aura of the 2 of them, he felt relieved in his heart. Fortunately, these 2 fellows had managed to persevere. "Be careful!" Mu Ziming and Xiao Bisheng shouted at the same time. At this moment, an incomparably sharp murderous intent suddenly shot towards Ning Cheng's back. Jia Shisan's sneak attack, Ning Cheng instantly understood. He did not even turn his body, as he raised his hand and grabbed a huge square seal. This huge square seal rapidly shrank in Ning Cheng's hands, and finally turned into a palm-sized seal. "You!" Jia Shisan, who had almost turned into a skeleton, stared at Ning Cheng as if he had seen a ghost. He had never seen such a terrifying thing before. A cultivator at the 4th level of Sea Opening Realm had easily grabbed the magical weapon that he had brought out, and even directly erased the spiritual consciousness connection to his magical weapon. Just how terrifying was this? Even Mu Ziming and Xiao Bisheng couldn't help but look at Ning Cheng in horror. Jia Shisan had been trapped for so many years, needless to say, his strength had dropped a lot. However, However, even if Jia Shisan's strength had dropped, he was still a cultivator above the crucible transformation realm. Ning Cheng was just a trivial sea opening realm cultivator, yet he could easily grab Jia Shisan's square seal. Just what kind of terrifying cultivation was this? Ning Cheng also looked at the square seal in his palm. When Jia Shisan had sneak attacked him, he had immediately noticed it. At the same time, he had also raised his hand to grab the square seal that had attacked him. He was sure that he could deal with this square seal, which was something that he had complete confidence in himself. Over the past few decades, his cultivation had not risen, however, his spiritual consciousness had skyrocketed. Moreover, because he was constantly using the array formation to deal with the underworld ghost rot tan, coupled with the formidable deduction and self-correction ability of his mysterious yellow formless, his usage of true essence and spiritual consciousness had reached the pinnacle. In Ning Cheng's view, his true essence had not increased by much. In fact, his true essence was constantly being consumed, but even after consuming it, he could still block the underworld ghost rot tan without even half a shred of weakening. From this, it could be seen that once his true essence recovered, it would definitely be a lot more powerful than before. Because of the mysterious yellow origin and the mysterious yellow formless cultivation method, his 40 years were equivalent to 44,000 years for others. During these 40 years, Ning Cheng had not cultivated, however, he vaguely conformed to the highest realm of the mysterious yellow formless cultivation method. Not taking the initiative to cultivate, but subconsciously wanting to improve one's cultivation at all times, this was the true formless and formless realm of the mysterious yellow formless. Jia Shisan, who had just reacted, immediately felt a kind of fear rise up in his heart. He screamed wildly and jumped up to escape. However, the next moment, he felt that the space around him no longer belonged to him. He took a few steps forward, but still remained motionless in the same place. Domain? Mu Ziming and Xiao Bixing screamed out in shock. Ning Cheng did not even move, yet he could prevent an expert like Jia Shisan from escaping. If this was not controlling the surrounding space, then what was it? This kind of control, in the true cultivation world, was equivalent to one's own domain. Domain. After Jia Shisan spoke a single word in a low voice, he directly fell to the ground. He was already close to death, yet he still stimulated his vitality to sneak attack Ning Cheng. The result was that he was like a lamp without oil. When he finally escaped, he saw a scene that he could not even imagine. A sea-opening realm cultivator capable of stretching out his own domain, it truly made the world go crazy. Or rather, he was scared to death by Ning Cheng. He died. I can't believe that you have a domain. Maybe he was scared to death. After Xiao Bixing swallowed a pill from Ning Cheng, he also took out a few more pills and swallowed them, allowing his essence, qi, and spirit to recover by a lot. Although he still looked like a skeleton, he was slowly recovering his essence blood. Mu Ziming and Xiao Bixing were in the same situation, but his cultivation was a bit higher than Xiao Bixing's. After listening to Xiao Bixing's words, he shook his head and spoke, "No, Sect Master Ning's control over the surrounding space looks like a domain, but in fact, it is not a domain. It is just a kind of control over the surrounding space, it is not something that can be used. It is still 108,000 miles away from a domain." Mu Ziming was very clear in his heart that even if Ning Cheng had not comprehended a domain, but with his current situation, it would only be a matter of time before he comprehended a domain. If he did not guess wrong, then the reason why Ning Cheng had this kind of comprehension was definitely related to the battle with Rong Jin. This kind of talent truly shocked Mu Ziming. Perhaps as long as he had the right guidance, he would be able to comprehend a domain. Trapped for 40 years, the three of them were on the verge of death, while Ning Cheng's cultivation was the worst. However, not only did he survive, but he also profited from the disaster. Because of this, he did not continue to use his seniority to address Ning Cheng, and directly changed the address to Sect Master Ning. Ning Cheng had never come into contact with a domain, so when he heard those words, he quickly cupped his fists and spoke, "I ask Senior Mu to give me some pointers." Mu Ziming waved his hand and spoke, "Don't call me Senior. If we talk about real strength, then Xiao Bisheng and I are not as good as you. If you think highly of me, then you can just call me Brother Mu from now on. Yes, from now on, we can treat each other as equals. Ning Cheng had saved Xiao Bisheng's life. Coupled with Ning Cheng's amazing strength, he had long since wanted to make friends with him. He had also heard that Ning Cheng had a good relationship with the Heavenly Tao Academy's Li Ling Fan, which was something that he could definitely use to rope them in. Then I will also not be polite. I ask Brother Mu to enlighten me on what a domain is. After Ning Cheng's true essence and spiritual consciousness quickly recovered, he felt that his strength was much stronger than when he first came in, so he no longer remained polite. Mu Ziming sighed and spoke, in fact, not to mention me, even in the entire Yixing mainland, I estimate that only a few people have comprehended a domain. If Su Anjin was not injured, then perhaps she might have been able to comprehend it, but after she was injured, even if her strength recovered, she would not be able to comprehend a domain. I can't give you an explanation about domains. If you really want to know what a domain is, then you can only enter Heaven's Way. I've decided, after I go out and arrange the matters of the academy, I will enter Heaven's Way. Xiao Bisheng spoke without hesitation. Mu Ziming nodded and spoke, that's right, this time I will also enter Heaven's Way. What does Sect Master Ning think about it? I still have to wait. Ning Qing knew that Ning Ruolin and Ji Luofei would not be able to advance to the Crucible Transformation Realm in these years, so he must wait for the two of them to advance to the Crucible Transformation Realm before entering Heaven's Way. After going out this time, he would find a way to find cultivation resources to help them. Seeing that Mu Ziming did not know anything about domains, Ning Qing felt somewhat disappointed. He could control the surrounding space, and vaguely understood it from Rong Jin. Raising his hand to pick up Jia Shisan's ring from the ground, Ning Qing once again spoke, after I burn all the underworld ghost rattans in this place, we will then find a way to leave this place. Sect Master Ning, these underworld ghost rattans cannot be burned out. You can see that the underworld ghost rattans in this blue hole have all been burned out, but the fact is that these rattan branches are afraid of your flames, and have retreated. Xiao Bisheng explained. Not waiting for Ning Qing to speak, Mu Ziming looked at the Red Star River suspended in front of Ning Cheng and asked in doubt, Sect Master Ning, I have seen a lot of flames, but I have never seen a flame like yours. The grade of your flame is not high, so how could it burn all the underworld ghost rattans in this place? There was also a sentence that Mu Ziming did not say, that is, if Ning Cheng's flames were to advance a few levels, then it would be somewhat difficult to burn these underworld ghost rattans. Initially, he had only taken out the desiccated purple flame heart, but he did not expect that Ning Cheng's flame would only take 20 years to absorb the desiccated purple flame heart. If he had taken out another desiccated purple flame heart, he even suspected that Ning Cheng's flame would have advanced to the next level in less than a year. The higher the grade of the flame, the faster it would be able to absorb ores. I don't know much about flames, this flame was given to me by a senior. Ning Qing did not say that his flame came from an immortal mansion, but saying that the flame was given to him by someone was also not a lie. If not for the white-haired old woman taking him to look for the immortal mansion, he would not have been able to obtain the Star River. Mu Ziming did not continue to ask about the flame. He looked at the depths of the blue hole and spoke with incomparable worry, these underworld crow ghost rattans are incomparably terrifying. Even if we can escape today, if these ghost rattans enter the Tian continent in the future, it would be a disaster. What's more, if we do not destroy these ghost rattans, we will not be able to leave this place. Chapter 437. This underworld crow ghost rattan really had something to do with the mirage. Ning Qing grabbed the array flag and immediately rushed into the hole that had just appeared. As soon as he entered, endless rattan vines flew towards him, bringing with it a burst of roaring sounds. This was definitely the ghost rattan king, causing the killing intent in Ning Cheng's heart to grow even stronger. Even if there were many rattan vines attacking him, as long as he killed the ghost rattan king, everything would disappear without a trace. After being trapped for decades, Ning Cheng had not used the remaining essence birthing bamboo pith. But at this time, Ning Qing did not hesitate to take out a bit of the essence birthing bamboo pith and pour it into his mouth. While his true essence quickly recovered, Ning Qing also crazily urged the Star River formation. The blue hole was like a bottomless pit. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept in, but could only see a faint blue. It was as if something was blocking his spiritual consciousness, making it impossible for him to look deeper. Later on, these rattan vines crazily attacked Ning Cheng, to the point that Ning Cheng's Star River formation did not even have the time to burn them. These ghost rattan vines only had one purpose, to block Ning Cheng and not let Ning Cheng get close to the underworld crow ghost rattan king. After an hour, Ning Cheng finally understood that for decades, they had been trapped in the outermost part of this blue hole, but the inside was unexpectedly so deep. Ning Cheng quickly took out a jade box and put away the essence of wood in his hand. He felt overjoyed in his heart. Finally he did not come here in vain. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, Ning Cheng refined the array flags from the 9-colored mirage stone and began to arrange the array. As a top-notch Tier 8 array formation Grand Master, and using the array flags refined from the 9-colored mirage stone, Ning Cheng arranged an illusion array in just a short time. Although the underworld crow ghost rattan king was angry, Ning Cheng also felt angry. After being sealed by this ghost rattan for decades, he had not yet shown his might, but the ghost rattan king had already shown its might. Even Ning Cheng himself did not know what to do next after arranging the illusion array. He only knew that since Jia Shisan wanted to use the 9-colored mirage tree to subdue the underworld crow ghost rattan king, it showed that this ghost rattan king should have some resistance to the illusion array. Ning Cheng felt shocked in his heart. The maximal flame spiritual technique was many times more powerful than before. Raising his hand, he grabbed the fist-sized cyan ball. Mu Ziming shook his head and spoke, "No, if I have not guessed wrong, then this is the I Xing mainland's domain abyss. This domain abyss might be connected to the void, as such the underworld crow ghost rattan growing in such a place would be very difficult to find. I don't know how Naga Shirsen discovered the underworld crow ghost rattan here." At this moment, Ning Cheng felt that something was wrong. If this underworld crow ghost rattan king was in such a depth, then how could Jia Shirsen use the 9-colored mirage tree to subdue the underworld crow ghost rattan? He didn't have any flames, so he probably wouldn't even be able to enter. The feeling of being able to control space once again welled up in his heart. Ning Cheng could even grasp each and every vine branch around him. These vine branches that were swarming towards him felt as if they were charging into the space around him. Perhaps the underworld crow ghost rattan feared the celestial river around Ning Cheng, but after Ning Cheng entered the depths of the blue hole, no rattan branches came to entangle him. Other than the sound of his footsteps, there was only the misty green light and the bone-chilling aura in the entire cave. If it really doesn't work, I'll just burn all the way in and find the underworld crow ghost rattan king and burn it. Ning Cheng had lived in the graceful star mainland for many years and had many friends. He also did not want the underworld crow ghost rattan king to sweep over the entire graceful star mainland. As Ning Cheng quickly retreated, he took out a jade box and put away the small vine branch. Ning Cheng closed his eyes, and the scene of the celestial river crazily burning the vine branches appeared in his consciousness. Moreover, these vine branches seemed endless. Ning Cheng gave out a sigh and put away the anxiety and anger in his heart. He had already prepared himself for a long battle. He did not believe that these vine branches would not be able to burn it down. Even the thick ghost rattan king rushing towards Ning Cheng paused for a moment. However, a moment later, the endless vine branches turned around and shot towards Ning Cheng at an even faster speed. These flames came quickly and disappeared even faster. After the rumbling sounds disappeared, all the surrounding vine branches also disappeared. The round altar and the cyan ghost rattan king also disappeared, leaving only a fist-sized cyan thing suspended in the air. Although the maximal flame spiritual technique had destroyed everything around him, it could not extinguish this fist-sized cyan thing. After another half an hour, Ning Cheng finally stopped. In front of him, there were two holes juxtaposed. He did not know if he should enter the hole on the left or the hole on the right. This was definitely similar to the domain that the Mu Ziming trio had talked about before. It was also the same feeling he had when he fought against Rong Jin. However, unlike the last time, he had fallen into Rong Jin's domain. This time, the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan King had fallen into his domain. The blue hole was incomparably cold. Considering that Mu Ziming and Xiao Bisheng were too weak, Ning Qing arranged a rank 8 defensive array formation to allow the two of them to recover while he continued to enter the blue hole in search of the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan King. Even after he left, these vine branches would once again attack Mu Ziming and Xiao Bisheng. With the rank 8 defensive array formation, the two of them would be able to hold on for 2 or 3 days. As soon as this small vine branch fell into Ning Cheng's hands, Ning Cheng understood that it was left behind by the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan King. It should be a part of it that had not been destroyed by the maximal flame spiritual technique. Since even the maximal flame spiritual technique could not extinguish this thing, it definitely was not a simple thing. As an Earth Pill Grandmaster who was about to advance to rank 8, he had long heard about the essence of wood. However, he had never seen the essence of wood before, let alone such a big one. Essence was different from origin. Compared to origin, essence was nothing. However, essence had a direct effect on cultivators. The terrifying flame completely wiped away the vanishing and nothingness. Hurry up and leave this place with Mu Ziming and Xiao Bisheng. Ning Cheng had just thought of this, when bursts of roaring sounds arrived, and the surrounding stone walls of the blue hole began to collapse. With the collapse of the blue hole's stone walls, he felt as if he had truly entered a space of nothingness. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng did not continue forward. Instead, he took out a 9-colored mirage stone and began to refine array flags. If I did not take the initiative to attack, the suction force in the cave would not have disappeared, and we would still be trapped here. It's just that our situation is slightly better. Once the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan King grows stronger, it would still be a dead end for us. Ning Qing thought about it and decided to stake everything on this one throw and kill the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan King. Did the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan King not completely destroy it? Ning Qing felt shocked in his heart. Not caring about leaving, he stepped forward and grabbed the small grayish-black vine branch in his hand. Several vine branches tore apart Ning Cheng's robes in just a twinkling of an eye, while one vine branch even fell onto Ning Cheng's body. At this moment, the surrounding space completely disappeared. Even if the ghost Rot Tan King disappeared from this space, it once again came to a standstill. The celestial river vine burst out like fireworks around Ning Cheng. Amidst the crackling sounds, Ning Cheng once again smelled bursts of burnt smell. The shining green vine in the middle of the round altar seemed to have felt Ning Cheng's killing intent, as this green vine suddenly soared, causing its entire vine body to become dozens of times thicker, before it turned into an incomparably terrifying vine branch that shot towards Ning Cheng. The celestial river vine, under the urging of Ning Cheng and the help of true essence, instantly caused the flames to soar. Mu Ziming and Xiao Bisheng shook their heads at the same time. Your flames can only burn away the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan. This underworld crow ghost Rot Tan King should still be relatively weak. That's why it did not continue to entangle with you and let you take a step back. If you were determined to deal with the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan King, then it would be hard to predict who would emerge as the final victor. From the looks of it, Ning Cheng was about to reach the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan King. Therefore, these vines, knowing that they would soon be burned, rushed towards Ning Cheng one after another, completely ignoring the raging flames around them. A feeling of spatial collapse emerged, and the endless flames around them disappeared in an instant. Without the celestial river flame burning the vines seemed to be at a loss for a moment. Ning Cheng felt anxious and immediately swept out with his spiritual consciousness, trying to find a way out. However, he could not find a way out. Instead, he found a small section of grayish-black vines. A more intense burnt smell erupted, and Ning Cheng did not know how many vines pressed towards Ning Cheng. At the same time, Ning Cheng also did not know how many vines Ning Cheng had burned away. At this moment, Ning Qing did not think about anything and just desperately urged the celestial river flame. At the same time, the vines also crazily rushed towards Ning Qing. Ning Qing felt his heart tremble. It was too late for him to take back his spiritual consciousness. Without even thinking about it, he immediately blasted out with the maximal flame spiritual technique. Ning Qing did not feel surprised. Instead, he felt happy. He knew that he had not come to the wrong place. This was the place where the real underworld crow ghost Rot Tan King resided. The originally ice-cold blue hole, because of Ning Cheng's desperate urging of the celestial river flame, turned the surrounding ice into nothingness, and the ice-cold space turned scorching hot. After advancing to the celestial river flame, the power of the maximal flame spiritual technique had also increased. Ning Qing estimated that the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan King should have turned into nothingness under the effects of the maximal flame spiritual technique. Boom! A violent tearing sound erupted in the surroundings, and everything in the center of the explosion disappeared, turning into nothingness. Once Ning Cheng's anxious and angry mood converged, the situation of the vines around him became even clearer. He saw a round altar, and in the middle of the round altar, there was a green vine that shone with a green luster growing there. Countless vines that were rushing toward him had spread out from the green vine. A powerful wood-attributed aura came from the bead, and Ning Qing instantly understood what it was. It was definitely the essence of wood. Since this huge vine came crashing down, the celestial river flame could not burn this vine in the first place. Once the celestial river flame could not deal with this huge ghost Rot Tan King, the ghost Rot Tan King would pierce through his body, which would spell the end for him. Ning Qing estimated that his flesh and blood would not be enough for it to devour this thick ghost Rot Tan King. To Ning Cheng's surprise, just as he finished arranging the illusion array, the two holes in front of him started to fade away, and then a third hole appeared in the middle. After a while, the holes on the left and right completely disappeared. Ning Qing frowned. If these underworld crow ghost Rot Tan Kings hid in the blue hole's wall and did not come out, he could not do anything about it. This blue hole's wall was extremely hard, and even if he broke it, he would not be able to find the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan inside. Brother Mu, didn't these ghost Rot Tan Kings already enter the Tian continent? Is this not within the Tian continent? Ning Qing asked in doubt. Perhaps the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan King was truly angry, and Ning Qing wanted to destroy its foundation. Chapter 438. Ning Qing was once again able to feel the familiar nothingness around him. Ning Qing immediately stimulated the twin wings of the heavenly clouds with all his strength, as he quickly flew upwards. At this time, he did not care about Mu Ziming and Xiao Bisheng. Moreover, he did not know where these two fellows were. Half an hour later, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness also swept out in an overwhelming manner, causing Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness to sweep out. A piece of barren rocky ground appeared under Ning Cheng's feet. When Ning Qing landed, he saw Mu Ziming and Xiao Bisheng. The two of them were a step ahead of him. Ha! I knew that sect master Ning would be fine. Xiao Bisheng laughed, causing his skull-like face to look very funny. He would not be able to fully recover in a short period of time. Mu Ziming also spoke up with a happy tone, the blue hole has completely collapsed. Sect Master Ning presumably has already destroyed the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan King. Sect Master Ning has done a great deed for my Yixing mainland. Please accept this Mu Ziming's salute. Seeing Mu Ziming and Xiao Bisheng saluting him, Ning Qing quickly stopped them. Mu Ziming, on the other hand, spoke up in a stern tone, Sect Master Ning saved my life, so I should be grateful to you, not to mention that you even destroyed the underworld crow ghost Rot Tan King. If the ghost Rot Tan King is not destroyed, then this ghost Rot Tan King will one day stretch out from the ground, sweeping through the entire Tian continent and even the Yixing mainland. What Elder Brother Mu said is correct, we are currently in a very bad condition, as such we must immediately rush back to the academy. Once Elder Brother Mu and I recover, we will definitely go to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect to visit Sect Master Ning. Xiao Bisheng also put away the smile on his face, as he spoke out in a similarly stern manner. Ning Qing quickly spoke up, "My flame is all thanks to elder brother Mu, otherwise, it would have been impossible for my flame to advance." Through the advancement of his flame, Ning Qing realized how difficult it was for his celestial river flame to advance. "I'm glad to be able to give you the desiccated purple flame heart. We will meet again in the future." Mu Ziming laughed. Bringing out a flight-type weapon, he quickly disappeared along with Xiao Bisheng without a trace. Ning Qing cleaned himself up, and changed into a new set of clothes, only to find that the place he had just come out from had disappeared for no reason. Ning Qing was secretly surprised in his heart, he did not understand what was going on. Fortunately, he came out early. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to find the exit. At the edge of a swamp, 4 cultivators were besieging a severely wounded Class 7 black gold spider. The value of the black gold spider was extremely high. It was several times more valuable than the average level 7 demonic beast. Moreover, the golden silk inside the black gold spider's body could be refined into a very good defensive armor. These 4 cultivators were all in the soul essence realm, and in the face of the things that were about to fall into their hands, they also gave it their all. The black gold spider seemed to know that its little life was about to end. It madly spat out a series of black blade lights. At the same time, strands of spider silk fluttered around it. One of the male cultivators did not pay attention and one of the long legs of the black gold spider stabbed into his chest. The male cultivator screamed and flew out. The male cultivator, who had been severely injured by the black gold spider, seemed to know that his injuries were very serious. After swallowing a pill, he immediately sat down and started to heal himself. At the same time that the black gold spider stabbed the male cultivator, a black-robed female cultivator pierced the black gold spider's head with her twin blades. The black gold spider screamed out and collapsed to the ground. The other 2 cultivators, one male and one female, blasted their weapons at the black gold spider's body. After seriously injuring one of them, the black gold spider was finally killed. "We finally killed it. Yu Jing, you and Wan Cheng can decompose the black gold spider. I will go and see how Yangshi's injuries are." "Huh, who are you?" The black-robed female cultivator who killed the black gold spider had just finished her words when she found that there was another person beside them. It was a young male cultivator with bright eyes, but his face looked very pale and his hair was slightly messy. "I'm looking for Meng Yujing." The young male cultivator pointed to a delicate-looking soul essence female cultivator. "It's you." Meng Yujing called out in shock. Apparently, she knew this pale-faced young male cultivator. The young male cultivator spoke in a very indifferent tone, "You come with me." "Okay." Meng Yujing did not refute and directly nodded in agreement. She then turned to the other 3 people and spoke, "I have some things to take care of, you can go back first. Don't worry about me for the time being. Yujing, you still have a share of this black gold spider." The male cultivator called Wan Qing quickly spoke up. Meng Yujing immediately replied, "I will leave it with you for now. I will come back to get it when I have time." With that, Meng Yujing calmly looked at the young male cultivator and spoke, "Let's go." The black-robed female cultivator and Wan Cheng looked at the departing airship-type artifact and did not dare to speak. They could see that the young male cultivator who took away Meng Yujing was not someone they could contend against. "I know who he is." Wan Cheng suddenly called out in shock. "Who is it?" "He is the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect Master Ning Cheng." In the past, after he killed Rong Jin in the Heavenly Dao Public Square's sect surpassing censure, he disappeared. Because of this matter, several major academies even besieged the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Everyone said that he went to Heaven's Way. "I did not expect to see Sect Master Ning here today." Wan Qing spoke in shock. The black-robed female cultivator also remembered and spoke, "That's right, it should be him. He looks a lot thinner than before, and his complexion does not look very good. If Yu Jing went with him, would there be any problems?" That look on his face gave the impression that he was overly fond of women. Wan Qing quickly shook his head and spoke, "No, Sect Master Ning has a very good reputation. In the past, he had saved more than 100 core disciples and true inheriting disciples of various major academies in a mystic realm. However, he was a vengeful person. The Yin Yang Dao sect had taken away the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's perception pagoda in the past. Now that the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect Master Ning had suddenly returned, it would definitely be a good show to watch. As for Meng Yujing, I don't think there will be a problem. She and Sect Master Ning are both from the Lu continent. Since Sect Master Ning is looking for her, maybe it's to invite Yujing to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. We don't have to worry about it." Wan Cheng was not wrong, this pale-faced young male cultivator was indeed Ning Cheng. He had been trapped by the underworld crow ghost Rot-Tan at the edge of the void domain for decades. Although his face was a bit pale, it was still many times better than Mu Ziming and Xiao Bisheng. Ning Cheng's airship came to a stop in the air. Meng Yujing stood in front of Ning Cheng and spoke in a neither overbearing nor servile manner. "I wonder why Sect Master Ning is looking for me." She knew that Ning Cheng had followed her in the Hua continent. Moreover, she also knew that Ning Cheng did not have a good impression of her. As for the reason, she could not figure it out. In the past, when she knew that Ning Cheng had followed her and knew about her privacy, she had even thought of killing Ning Cheng in her heart. "Take me to Kong Cheng." Ning Cheng's impression of Meng Yujing was indeed very poor. This woman, apart from being beautiful, was nothing in Ning Cheng's eyes. Meng Yujing froze for a moment, before she asked in a trembling voice, "Sect Master Ning, can you see that Kong Cheng placed a spiritual consciousness restriction on my body?" Others never knew that she was under Kong Cheng's coercion, yet Ning Cheng immediately asked her about Kong Cheng's whereabouts. It was obvious that Ning Cheng was aware of the spiritual consciousness restriction that Kong Cheng placed on her body. "That's right, I can indeed feel Kong Cheng's spiritual consciousness restriction on your body. Therefore, I want to find him to settle accounts." Ning Cheng nodded and spoke in a calm voice. Meng Yujing's heart suddenly felt like it was in a storm. Kong Cheng was a cultivator at the early stages of the sea opening realm. Even a crucible transformation cultivator would not be able to see through the spiritual consciousness restriction that Kong Cheng placed on her with just a sweep. Ning Cheng had only swept her body, yet he was able to see Kong Cheng's spiritual consciousness tag. Just how terrifying was his cultivation? Just how terrifying was his spiritual consciousness? I really did not expect that this fellow would turn out to be a sea-opening realm cultivator. Ning Cheng sneered. After this Kong Cheng arrived at the Tian continent, his cultivation speed truly turned out to be very fast. Meng Yujing's heart calmed down a bit. She was very clear that although Kong Cheng's qualifications were far inferior to hers, he had found a good academy. Moreover, he also had his own secrets, allowing him to make much more progress in his cultivation compared to her. She could only struggle in the Tian continent, while also being threatened by Kong Cheng. Meng Yujing, who originally wanted to ask Ning Cheng to help her remove the spiritual consciousness restriction, immediately withdrew the words that were on the tip of her mouth. Ning Cheng's journey from the Hua continent to the Lu continent, and then to the Tian continent, she had heard too much about it. Although she had not had any contact with Ning Cheng, she knew what kind of person Ning Cheng was. If she did not ask Ning Cheng for help, then maybe Ning Cheng would take the initiative to help her. If she asked Ning Cheng for help, then maybe he would even despise her. Thinking until here, Meng Yujing calmed down, and gave a bow to Ning Cheng. "Yes, I know where Kong Cheng is, and I am willing to take Sect Master Ning to find Kong Cheng." Ning Cheng had always been prejudiced against Meng Yujing, but Meng Yujing's beauty was not inferior in any way because of Ning Cheng's prejudices. As Meng Yujing bowed, her snow-white chest and a deep ravine immediately entered Ning Cheng's eyes. Heaven pity him, Ning Cheng really did not want to peep at Meng Yujing's things. He even suspected that Meng Yujing had done it deliberately. Otherwise, how could a soul essence cultivator not know that such an action would expose her? Ning Cheng had been trapped by the underworld crow ghost Rot-Tan for a long time. Although it was good for his cultivation to rise, but unfortunately, he was not a person who cultivated the monk's cultivation method. Meng Yujing's exposure immediately reminded him of Shi Qianghua, and then he immediately thought of Ji Luofei, who was still waiting for him at the academy. This time, he would have to go back and marry Ji Luofei. As Ning Qing thought of this, his slightly pale face suddenly turned a bit rosy. Feeling the change in Ning Cheng's mood, Meng Yujing's tense mood in front of Ning Qing suddenly relaxed a bit. She knew why Ning Cheng had this kind of change. It was because he saw her exposed. In fact, she really did not do it intentionally. However, she did not feel much discomfort in her heart. As a rogue cultivator, this kind of thing was nothing to her. This also showed that although Ning Cheng was powerful, but just like her, he was just a person made of flesh and blood. I know that Sect Master Ning has some opinions about me, but Sect Master Ning and I are both from the Hua continent. For Sect Master Ning to be able to make a name for himself in the Tian continent, we cultivators from the Lu continent and the Hua continent can only feel proud. Meng Yujing hesitated for a moment, but still took the initiative to speak a few words to Ning Cheng. She felt that there was not much resentment between her and Ning Cheng. It was only because Ning Cheng had seen her outside with other male cultivators, which led to this kind of situation. Ning Cheng restored his calm, took out 2 chairs, and after sitting down, he also beckoned Meng Yujing to sit down, and spoke in a light voice, "On the way to find Kong Cheng, I also want to ask you a question. Many years ago, I knew a person by the name of Ko Hong." Ning Cheng's words had not yet finished, when Meng Yujing suddenly stood up. Her pretty face was even paler than Ning Cheng's. Chapter 439. Meng Yujing finally understood why Ning Cheng looked down on her, and moreover had a bad impression of her. Ning Cheng knew Ko Hong, so of course he knew that she was Ko Hong's fiancée. Moreover, she, as Ko Hong's fiancée, even had a rendezvous with another man. If Ning Cheng looked up to her, then it would really be a strange thing. Ning Cheng looked at Meng Yujing's expression, and knew that it would be difficult for her to answer. Thinking that this matter did not have much to do with him, he simply waved his hand and said, "You don't have to answer my question. Just take me to Kong Cheng. Once we find Kong Cheng, I will help you remove the spiritual consciousness restriction. We both get what we need." Meng Yujing returned to her senses, as she once again sat down, and spoke. "My Meng clan was one of the top clans in the Yixing mainland a long time ago. According to the legends, my Meng clan's ancestors had already transcended the boundaries of a world, and crossed the universe. But after my Meng clan's ancestor left, the Meng clan began to decline. After countless years, only the Meng clan's direct descendant cultivation method remained. Several hundred years ago, my Meng clan was attacked again. My great-grandfather, Meng Qianqing, managed to escape with my Meng clan's cultivation method. Unfortunately, he was still caught by 2 people. My great-grandfather's Meng clan's cultivation method was stolen, and he was seriously injured and fell into the river. Fortunately, the heavens did not destroy my Meng family. Great-grandfather was saved by someone. In order to not let the Meng family die out, great-grandfather decided that the descendants of the Meng family, regardless of whether it was a man or a woman, must have the surname Meng. Therefore, a trace of the Meng family bloodline has been passed down. Ning Qing did not interrupt Meng Yujing's words. He guessed that Meng Yujing would not say such things for no reason. In the past, the 2 people who chased after my Meng clan were surnamed Chu and Ko. My Meng clan's cultivation method was also taken by these 2 clans. After so many years, the 2 families had long forgotten that their cultivation methods were stolen. Moreover, they would never remember that the people they robbed were the Meng clan. When Meng Yujing spoke till here, Ning Qing already vaguely understood something. It seemed like this matter was a little melodramatic. He really regretted being a busybody. Meng Yujing continued to speak. After I was born, the Meng clan had already fallen to the edge of ordinary mortals, to the point that even cultivation had become a luxury. My father thought that I had a bit of beauty, and also a bit of aptitude, so he went all out to train me, and finally let me enter the Falling Star Academy. After that, my father deliberately approached the Chu clan's Chu Nan Shi. After learning that I was in the Falling Star Academy, Chu Nanshi immediately thought of a marriage, and wanted me to marry the eldest son of the Chu clan, Chu Ping. When my father came back, he told me that I must get part of the Meng clan's cultivation method from Chu Ping's hands. But this wasn't the end. After my father had me and Chu Ping engaged, he secretly contacted Ko Ruisi of the Ko family and arranged for me and Ko Hong to be engaged again. He also told me that I must get the other part of the Meng family's cultivation technique from Ko Hong's hands. Ning Cheng was dumbfounded as he looked at Meng Yujing. How could there be such a father? He betrothed his daughter to two families with ulterior motives. He was speechless. This Meng Yujing was quite obedient, and even agreed to her father's arrangement. The last time you followed me, it was Chu Ping. I had obtained a part of the Meng clan's cultivation method from his hands. I originally wanted to kill him, but I did not expect that someone would help me kill him. Meng Yujing's tone was getting more and more flat. After she finished speaking, she took the initiative to take out half of the leather scroll. An incomparably ancient aura came from the leather scroll. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept over the leather scroll, and casually looked at it. He found that the cultivation method inside was really not a trivial matter. He did not care about the leather scroll. In his heart, he thought that Meng Yujing was a ruthless woman. Although she said that she wanted to kill her fiancé, her face did not change even half a bit. You also have some fame in the Falling Star Academy. Since you are engaged to two people at the same time, wouldn't it spread out? Ning Cheng asked with some doubts. Meng Yujing's face was a bit numb as she spoke, because I and Ko Hong were betrothed under my father's arrangement. So the betrothal between me and Chu Ping was done secretly, while the betrothal between me and Ko Hong was done openly. Ning Cheng did not continue to ask. He did not need to ask to know why the Chu clan would agree to such a disgusting thing. The Chu clan also wanted to get a part of the Meng clan's cultivation method from the Ko clan through Meng Yujing. No wonder Meng Yujing had covered her face the last time she met with Chu Ping. Thinking until here, Ning Cheng subconsciously looked at Meng Yujing's chest. Meng Yujing's chest was indeed incomparably proud, but when he thought of this woman being touched by Chu Ping today, and then being touched by Ko Hong tomorrow, he felt a bit nauseous. He had seen with his own eyes that Chu Ping had placed his hand on it. If not for the white-haired old woman pulling him away, he might have been able to see even more of it. Seemingly aware of Ning Cheng's gaze, Meng Yujing's face once again turned white, but she did not continue to speak. Ning Cheng secretly shook his head in his heart, as he took out a package and placed it in front of Meng Yujing and spoke, "This is what Ko Hong wanted me to bring to you, you should have succeeded." His spiritual consciousness had already swept into the black wooden box, and inside it was half of the leather scroll. It should be the same as the half of the leather scroll that Meng Yujing had taken out. As for the storage bag, there were only some garbage pills, a few low-grade spirit stones and a high-grade artifact. When Meng Yujing saw the things that Ning Cheng had taken out, her hands suddenly trembled. She opened the package in front of Ning Cheng. In her opinion, Ning Cheng must have seen these things before. Inside the package was a letter, a black wooden box, and a storage bag. Meng Yujing did not open the wooden box, but tore open the letter, causing a piece of paper and another letter to fall out of the envelope. After reading the contents of the letter, Meng Yujing placed the letter in front of Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng glanced at it, and found that the contents were very simple. Junior apprentice Sister Jing, the Ko clan was plotted against. If you can see this letter, then it means that I am no longer here. The things inside the storage bag, as well as the leather scroll inside the wooden box, are the things that I left for you. You must cultivate well, and do not rush to take revenge for me. The enemies of the Ko clan are very powerful. There is also a letter inside the envelope. You can take that letter to my younger brother Xiu Yuan. What Ning Cheng did not expect was that Meng Yujing once again tore open the letter for Ko Xiu Yuan. This time, there was no letter inside, only a very thin jade slip. On the jade slip was a row of small characters, Ko clan's secret book. Other than that, there was nothing else inside. Meng Yujing looked at Ning Cheng. She knew that this jade slip was a drop of blood to read the contents inside. Only by dripping a drop of blood from a member of the Ko family could one see the contents inside. With Meng Yujing's ability, she was still unable to decipher this kind of blood-reading scroll. Ning Cheng casually shot out a few hand seals, causing the surface of the blood drop reading slip to radiate a burst of red light, followed by Ko Hong's voice, "Xiu Yuan, remember what I said." The two halves of the Ko clan's complete cultivation method were on Meng Yujing. Meng Yujing had come here to swindle the Ko clan's cultivation method. After you get the news, immediately find a way to kill Meng Yujing, take back the Ko clan's complete cultivation method and leave. This woman is incomparably lewd, do not believe any of her words. Brother, Ko Hong. After the sound disappeared, the jade slip also turned into ashes. Ning Cheng shook his head. This kind of thing made him unable to say anything. He reckoned that Meng clan, Ko clan, and Chu clan were plotting against him, but in the end, Meng clan succeeded. Meng Yujing's face was calm, as if she was not affected at all. She opened the wooden box and took out the leather scroll inside. Putting the two leather scrolls together, it immediately formed a complete leather scroll. Meng Yujing picked up the complete cultivation method, and suddenly knelt in front of Ning Cheng. "Sect Master Ning, many thanks for helping me find the Meng clan's cultivation method. I am willing to offer this cultivation method to Sect Master Ning." Ning Cheng, on seeing Meng Yujing kneel down, gave a sneer and spoke, "Meng Yujing, you better get up and sit down. Moreover, do not play any tricks in front of me. I am not Chu Ping, nor am I Ko Hong. Regarding your Meng clan's treasured cultivation method, I do not even put it in my eyes, let alone snatch it from you. Now that you have it in your hands, quickly take me to Kongcheng." Meng Yujing trembled, quickly stood up and spoke, "Yes." At the same time, she put away the two halves of the leather scroll. Even Ning Cheng could not see what kind of mood she was in after obtaining the leather scroll. Ning Cheng's flight-type magical weapon landed in a valley with very ordinary spiritual qi. With the help of Meng Yujing, he was able to see Kongcheng. Kongcheng was currently in his own immortal cave, with a similar leather scroll suspended in front of him. However, in Ning Cheng's view, the value of this leather scroll was much higher compared to Meng Yujing's cultivation method. Ning Cheng raised his hand and patted Meng Yujing's shoulder. The spiritual consciousness restriction on Meng Yujing's body was like ice and snow meeting the scorching sun, as it melted away in an instant. Meng Yujing did not expect that this restriction would be so simple in front of Ning Cheng, causing her to feel pleasantly surprised as she once again bowed towards Ning Cheng and spoke, "Many thanks, Sect Master Ning." The spiritual consciousness restriction that had plagued her for several years had finally disappeared. If not for Kongcheng's restriction, with her qualifications, even if she could not advance to the crucible transformation realm, she would at least be a soul sculpting cultivator. How could she still be lingering in the early stages of the soul essence realm? Now that the restriction had been removed, and the Meng clan's cultivation method was also returned, she could finally wholeheartedly cultivate. "Who is it?" The moment Ning Cheng broke the restriction placed on Kongcheng, Kongcheng immediately became aware of it. He grabbed the leather scroll, and in a flash appeared outside the immortal cave, before landing in front of Ning Cheng and Meng Yujing. "It's you." Kongcheng recognized Ning Cheng at a glance, and immediately looked around. Ning Cheng also had the cultivation of Sea Opening Realm, however, he knew that he was definitely not Ning Cheng's opponent. Although he could fight against intermediate stage Sea Opening Realm cultivators with his early stage Sea Opening Realm cultivation, he had heard that Ning Cheng had even killed a late stage Crucible Transformation cultivator, Rong Jin. At this moment, he only had a single thought in his mind, and that was to escape. In his heart, he began to regret not taking into account the factor of Meng Yujing. If not for Meng Yujing, Ning Cheng would never have been able to find this place. "Elder Kong, it's been a long time since we last met. Alas, if I had not run away quickly, we would not have had the opportunity to meet each other today." Ning Cheng spoke with a sigh. "Yes, yes." Kongcheng did not have the mind to care about Ning Cheng's sarcasm. While speaking, he had already thrown out a talisman, while simultaneously retreating, while grabbing the second talisman in his hand. However, just as he moved, he felt that something was wrong. The surrounding area seemed to have made it impossible for him to cast any magical techniques. Not waiting for him to come up with a countermeasure, a fist shadow had already arrived. Bang! A bloody mist burst out. Kang Cheng did not even have the leeway to resist, before Ning Cheng's punch killed him. Moreover, the talisman that he brought out was still rotating in the air, without any intention of activating it. Chapter 440. Meng Yujing stared blankly at Kang Cheng, who had turned into a mist of blood, and was unable to react for a long time. Kang Cheng was an early-stage sea opening realm cultivator. Even a crucible transformation cultivator would not be able to kill him so easily. Farewell. Kang Cheng's leather scroll had always been on his mind since many years ago. Now that he got his revenge and obtained the leather scroll, Ning Cheng was in a very good mood. After saying a few words to Meng Yujing, he brought out a flight-type magical weapon and was about to leave. Sect Master Ning, have you not returned to the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect? Meng Yujing, on seeing Ning Cheng take away Kang Cheng's things, and in a hurry to leave, quickly asked. Ning Cheng was in a good mood, as he casually spoke. Yes, I have not returned to the sect for a long time, because I occasionally saw you. I discovered the spiritual consciousness restriction placed on you by Kang Cheng. If he had not seen the restriction placed on Meng Yujing by Kang Cheng, then even if Ning Cheng saw Meng Yujing, he would not necessarily look for her. Now that he knew the news about Kang Cheng, he absolutely could not let it go. Not to mention that Kong Pengpeng might have been harmed by Kang Cheng, even he himself was looking for this Kang Cheng. Now that he found his trail, how could he let it go? Sect Master Ning, you might not know what happened to the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect. Meng Yujing's words were directly interrupted by Ning Cheng. What happened to the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect? Meng Yujing quickly spoke up. After Sect Master Ning went missing, there were rumors that Sect Master Ning plotted against Dao Master Mu Ziming and Dao Master Xiao Bisheng. Later, the Heavenly Dao Academy, the Red Star Sword Faction, and the Yin Yang Dao Sect joined forces with many smaller academies to besiege the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect. Good, Xiao Bisheng, you actually taught these garbage disciples and grand disciples. Ning Cheng cursed. What happened to the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect? The Rainbow Fall Sword Sect gave the sect's most valuable treasure, the Perception Pagoda, to the Yin Yang Dao Sect, before persuading the Heavenly Dao Academy to leave. Finally, they clashed with the Red Star Sword Faction. This battle was very fierce, with the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect losing 2 Crucible Transformation cultivators, as well as many cultivators below the Sea Opening Realm. The cultivators from the Red Star Sword Faction who went to the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect were completely annihilated. After this battle, the Red Star Sword Faction became a lot more low-key. The Rainbow Fall Sword Sect also kept a low profile and did not continue to seek revenge from the Red Star Sword Faction. After that, 30 Crucible Transformation cultivators from the Yi Xing mainland went to the Heaven's Way, while 10 people from the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect went there at once. Meng Yujing, on seeing Ning Cheng's extremely ugly complexion, subconsciously stopped. Red Star Sword Faction, good, you've bullied my Rainbow Fall Sword Sect a few times already. Ning Cheng did not continue to ask Meng Yujing about it. He even put away his true artifact airship. Stimulating the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, his figure flashed and disappeared without a trace. Even the Perception Pagoda and the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect had so many Crucible Transformation cultivators, Ning Cheng did not even bother to ask about it. He just wanted to go back and see his little sister Rulin and Luofei. This area belongs to my Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's Academy area. Would you like to wander around this area? A cultivator with the cultivation of Intermediate Stage Profound Core Realm stopped 3 cultivators with the same cultivation of Profound Core Realm. Is this the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect? How come I don't know about it? The Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's mountain protecting Grand Array is still some distance away from here, right? The one who spoke was a thick-lipped male cultivator. The Rainbow Fall Sword sect's profound core cultivator's complexion turned somewhat ugly. The few of you, if we wander around the vicinity of the Yin Yang Dao sect, would you stop us? Do you dare? Another cultivator retorted disdainfully. You. The Rainbow Fall Sword sect's profound core cultivator felt so angry that he could not even speak. At this time, a calm voice arrived. Since these people dare to wander around the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's academy area, then there is no need to speak any nonsense, just kill them. The four people turned their heads at the same time, and did not know when a young male cultivator had appeared near them. Sect Master. The Rainbow Fall Sword sect's profound core cultivator called out in surprise. He knew who Ning Cheng was. When Sect Master Ning was at the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, he was still an outer sect disciple in the essence building realm. He had always said that Sect Master Ning had gone to Heaven's Way, but he did not expect that Sect Master Ning would actually come back. Ning Cheng nodded, and spoke to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's profound core cultivator, just do as I say. Yes, Sect Master. This profound core cultivator was well aware that he was not a match for these three people, but since Sect Master Ning had returned, he did not hesitate to bring out his magical weapon. The three profound core cultivators from the Yin Yang Dao sect turned pale with fright. Hearing Ning Cheng's words, the thick-lipped cultivator with the highest cultivation among the three quickly spoke up, Sect Master Ning, we will leave now. My Yin Yang Dao sect and your esteemed academy have always been friendly. The Rainbow Fall Sword sect's profound core cultivator looked at Ning Cheng. If Sect Master Ning knew that the other party was from the Yin Yang Dao sect, what would he do if he went back on his word? Ning Cheng did not speak again, and just shook his head. If it were him, then facing these three arrogant profound core cultivators, and even if the sect master had spoken, he would not hesitate to kill them. The Rainbow Fall Sword sect's profound core cultivator finally understood Ning Cheng's meaning, and completely stimulated the magical weapon in his hand. He believed that even if he was not an opponent for the other party, Sect Master Ning would not stand by and watch. However, he soon discovered that something was wrong. These three Yin Yang Dao sect's profound core disciples were just like idiots. They simply stood there motionless, allowing him to easily kill the three of them. Sect Master. After this profound core cultivator killed the three Yin Yang Dao sect's disciples, he discovered that Ning Cheng had already disappeared. He quickly picked up the three rings, brought out a flight-type magical weapon, and rushed towards the academy. The sect master had returned. This was definitely a major event for the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Rainbow Fall Sword Peak. Ning Cheng stood outside his immortal cave with a livid expression, while Lian Yi, Yang Honghua, Nan Yuefang, Zhuang Jingyi and the others stood beside him. He had already heard the details of the situation from the mouths of Lian Yi and the others. In the past, when the Rainbow Fall Sword sect and the Red Star Sword faction fought, although they managed to kill all the cultivators from the Red Star Sword faction, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect also suffered heavy losses. The newly advanced Crucible Transformation cultivator Hu Hong had fallen, but what made Ning Cheng even angrier was that Sun Hanrui had also fallen. Sun Hanrui was Ning Cheng's best friend in the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Apart from Liang Kersen, she was also the closest to him. Such a delicate and lovely girl, who had just advanced to the Crucible Transformation realm, unexpectedly fell under the siege of the Red Star Sword faction. The good news was that Meng Jingxiu had found the Rainbow Fall Sword sect and brought with her a lot of cultivation resources. The Perception Pagoda was brought by Meng Jingxiu. Rulan and Luofei had also entered the Perception Pagoda, which allowed them to advance to the Crucible Transformation realm. The reason why the Yin Yang Dao sect's disciples dared to wander back and forth in the vicinity was to provoke the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. As long as the Rainbow Fall Sword sect started, they would be able to find a reason to come knocking on their door. The main reason was because of the Perception Pagoda that the Rainbow Fall Sword sect had sent out. The Perception Pagoda that the Rainbow Fall Sword sect sent out was completely useless, causing the Yin Yang Dao sect to think that they had been deceived and wanted to come back again. However, he came back a few years late. 5 years ago, after the Rainbow Fall Sword sect and the Red Star Sword faction clashed. Ning Rulan, Luo Zian, Ke Hung Shui, Zhang Qian, Liang Shi, Taishu Pingho, Xian Saishue, Liang Kersen and Meng Jingxiu all went to Heaven's Way. Coupled with Rui Baishan going to Heaven's Way, the total number of Crucible Transformation cultivators from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect who went to Heaven's Way was 11. The only good news was that Ji Luofei did not go to Heaven's Way. She and Ning Rulan had already discussed it, one would go to Heaven's Way to look for him, while the other would stay in the Tian continent to look for him. Only Rulan and dozens of Crucible Transformation cultivators went to Heaven's Way together, which made Ningqing feel a bit relieved. It was because Ji Luofei had gone out to look for him for 2 years and had yet to return to the sect. A few more lights descended on the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak. Ning Cheng had already recognized the two people, Tan Tai Fei and Zhong Liping. Ning Cheng, you really came back. I knew that you would come back to the sect before going to Heaven's Way. Zhong Liping's voice arrived with a laugh. Tan Tai Fei was more worldly than Zhong Liping. When he saw Ning Cheng's expression, he knew that Ning Cheng was worried about his little sister and fiancé. He quickly stepped forward and spoke, Sect Master Ning, you don't have to worry. I have already sent out a message. Junior apprentice Sister Ji will soon return to the sect. Many thanks to Sect Master Tantai for taking care of my Rainbow Fall Sword Peak during my absence. Ning Cheng had already heard from the mouths of the others that Tan Tai Fei had taken care of his Rainbow Fall Sword Peak. Therefore, he specifically thanked Tan Tai Fei. Tan Tai Fei spoke up, Sect Master Ning, we are all from the same lineage of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. This is our duty. After a pause, he continued, Junior apprentice Sister Rulan went to Heaven's Way. You don't have to worry about it. Sect Master Rui went to Heaven's Way a long time ago. He will look after the disciples of my Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Regarding his little sister going to Heaven's Way first, it would be a lie if Ningqing said that he was not worried. However, cultivation ultimately depended on one's own hard work. It would not be good for her to always stay by his side. His little sister Rulan going to Heaven's Way alone was also a kind of experience for her. I really did not expect that Sect Master Rui would go to Heaven's Way so early. Knowing that Rui Baishan had already gone to Heaven's Way, Ning Cheng also gave out a sigh. Zhong Liping gave out a sigh and spoke, Baishan went to look for the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword. According to Baishan's speculations, Jia Shisan took the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword to Heaven's Way. This sword is the symbol of my Rainbow Fall Sword sect, a treasure that suppresses the destiny of the sect. Since Baishan lost this sword in his hands, he definitely would not feel at ease. He has always wanted to take back this sword. After Ning Cheng came out from the place where he was trapped, he immediately got busy with a variety of things. It was not until Zhong Liping mentioned the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword did he remember about this matter. He quickly took out a rainbow-like long sword from his ring and handed it to Zhong Liping with both hands before speaking, Elder Taoist Zhong, I killed Jia Shisan and took back the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword. Chapter 441. Zhong Liping absolutely did not think that Ning Cheng would take out the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword. Not to mention that he did not think about it, even Tan Tai Fei, who came with him, did not think about it. The importance of the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect was something that any of the elders of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect knew about. Without the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword sect, it could be said that the Rainbow Fall Sword sect had lost its imposing manner and symbol. A faction without imposing manner, being bullied by others, causing its destiny to fall, it was also normal. However, the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword that he had lost today had once again returned to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Moreover, it even appeared in front of him, causing Zhong Liping to find it hard to accept. Sect Master Ning, thank you, thank you. Zhong Liping trembled as he caressed the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword's blade. This sword was simply too important to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. At this moment, no one could understand Zhong Liping's mood. Even he had changed the way he addressed Ning Cheng. Previously, he had addressed Ning Cheng by his name, not because he did not respect Ning Cheng, but because of his seniority in the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Now that he addressed Ning Cheng as Sect Master Ning, it was not because of anything else, but because he truly felt grateful to Ning Cheng from the bottom of his heart. He was grateful to this young sect master for allowing the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword to return to the sect. Tan Tai Fei also gave an excited bow towards Ning Cheng. Sect Master Rui did not misread you. You are the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's Sect Master. Although this sentence was very strange, but Ning Cheng understood the meaning behind Tan Tai Fei's words. Now that he brought back the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword, its effect on the entire Rainbow Fall Sword sect was simply indescribable. Ning Cheng supported Tan Tai Fei and spoke once again. I request Elder Taoist Zhong to once again place the Rainbow Fall Sword in the Rainbow Fall Sword peak, so that my Rainbow Fall Sword sect can once again return to its peak. Zhong Liping let go of the hand that was caressing the Rainbow Fall Sword, but still spoke up with an excited tone. Sect Master Ning, this sword should have been placed there by you. You are the Sect Master, and it was you who brought back the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Ning Cheng felt moved in his heart. When he came back, he could feel that the status of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect at this moment was much lower than when he had first arrived at the Tian continent. Why didn't he take this opportunity to establish his prestige for the Rainbow Fall Sword sect? Thinking of this, Ning Cheng put away the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword and spoke. Elder Taoist Zhong, Sect Master Tan Tai, this is what I think. After I bring back Luofei, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect will hold a big event. Taking advantage of this grand event, my Rainbow Fall Sword sect will once again erect the yonder immortal Rainbow Fall Sword. I also want to hold a wedding ceremony with Luofei. Good, this is great news. Tan Tai Fei immediately clapped his hands and said. He knew that Ning Cheng wanted to go to Heaven's Way, but before going to Heaven's Way, Ning Cheng wanted to cheer for the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. With the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's prestige rising, the Yin Yang Dao sect would never dare to use such petty tricks again. Big brother Ning, leave this matter to me, and senior apprentice sister Lian Yi, Nan Yuefang quickly spoke up. She had been living with Luofei at the Rainbow Fall Sword peak. She understood senior apprentice sister Luofei's feelings for Ning Cheng too well. It was something that could not be replaced by anything. She also wanted to help senior apprentice sister Luofei and make Luofei happy. Then I will have to trouble junior apprentice sister Yuefang and junior apprentice sister Lian Yi. Ning Cheng quickly thanked them. Tan Tai Fei also nodded and spoke. For Yuefang and Lian Yi to handle this matter, it would be for the best. However, this time we killed a few disciples from the Yin Yang Dao sect who provoked us. I estimate that they would soon find an excuse to come over. Ning Cheng showed a faint smile. I'm afraid that they would not come. Ha, yes, I'm afraid that they would not come. Hearing Ning Cheng's words, Tan Tai Fei suddenly put down his worries and laughed. In the past, when Ning Cheng was not in the sect, he dared to fight against the Red Star Sword faction with his Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Now that Ning Cheng had returned, how could he turn timid? Ning Cheng once again spoke up. I'm going to the Red Star Sword faction soon, and should be back soon. No, although the strength of the Red Star Sword faction is a lot weaker, it is not much weaker than my Rainbow Fall Sword sect. You can't go alone. Zhong Liping understood Ning Cheng's meaning and immediately retorted. Ning Cheng spoke up in a calm and cold voice. Junior apprentice sister Hanrui died at the hands of the Red Star Sword faction. How can I let go of this sect? In fact, the moment he learned that Sun Hanrui had fallen, Ning Cheng almost went to the Red Star Sword faction on the spot. If he had the strength, he would have gone to destroy the Red Star Sword faction in the past. How could he have waited until today? It was because he did not destroy the Red Star Sword faction in the past, which led to junior apprentice sister Hanrui's death. Zhong Liping and Tan Tai Fei could hear that although Ning Cheng's tone was calm, it contained an intense murderous intent that could not be stopped. Tan Tai Fei was very clear that Ning Cheng and Sun Hanrui had a good relationship. Hearing these words, he could only sigh and speak. Hu Hong's corporeal body is gone, but Hanrui's corporeal body is still in the sect. You can go and take a look at it. Junior apprentice Sister Hanrue's corporeal body is still there? Ning Cheng asked in shock. Tan Tai Fei nodded, yes, but her soul has already flown away. Zhong Liping on seeing Ning Cheng silent once again spoke up, Red Star Sword Faction. Not waiting for Zhong Liping to finish his words, Ning Cheng took the initiative to interrupt Zhong Liping's words. Elder Taoist Zhong, since I can kill Jia Shi-san, I do not fear the Red Star Sword Faction. Zhong Liping felt his heart move. That's right, if Ning Cheng did not have the strength, how could he have killed Jia Shi-san? Moreover, in the past at the Heavenly Dao Public Square, Ning Cheng had killed Rong Jin, a Crucible Transformation 7th level cultivator. A few decades have passed, how could he know what Ning Cheng's strength was? Thinking of this, Zhong Liping no longer tried to persuade him, and spoke, in that case, you should be careful. If there is any trouble, as long as you stay alive, it would be fine. Also, my Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's ancestral cultivation method, the Rainbow Fall 9 Revolutions, is contained within the Rainbow Fall Sword. If you have the time, you can study it. Yes, many thanks for Elder Taoist Zhong's reminder. Elder Taoist Zhong can rest assured. Ning Cheng finished, before sending off Zhong Liping and Tan Tai Fei, who were both happy and worried, out of the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect. When the crowd slowly dispersed, Ning Cheng returned to his immortal cave. After he left, Ji Luofei had been living in the immortal cave. As soon as Ning Cheng entered his residence, he saw a jade box on the table. He stepped forward and opened the jade box. Inside the jade box was a love knot, with Ji Luofei's spiritual soul imprint on it. When Ning Cheng grabbed the love knot, he immediately sensed Ji Luofei's position. He immediately rushed out of the Rainbow Fall Sword Peak, eager to see Ji Luofei immediately. On a reef island close to the Tian continent in the Yi Xing Ocean, Ji Luofei, wearing a blue robe, stood on a reef. In front of her was a man covered with an aura of water. Beside this man, there was also an iron-backed seal. Get out of the way. Ji Luofei spoke in a very concise tone. In the past few years, she had traveled to many places, and had already been in the Yi Xing Ocean for more than 3 months. This man covered with an aura of water gave an evil smile. I would like to invite you to my immortal cave. I believe that you will be satisfied. I have the best Yi Xing Ocean spiritual wine, as well as the best flight-type magical weapons, as well as the best cultivation environment. Ji Luofei was just about to speak, when she suddenly grabbed a love knot. When she felt Ning Cheng's aura on the love knot, her face immediately turned red with excitement. Did your Dao companion send you a message? I helped you intercept a few messages a moment ago, but I did not expect you to have a love knot. TSK, I really envy you. The man with the aura of water spoke. Ji Luofei's heart had already flown to Ning Cheng's side, so how could she have the leisure to talk with this man? His figure flashed, and he disappeared from the reef island. But soon, her figure once again descended, and in front of her once again appeared the man with the aura of water. Don't be in such a hurry to leave. I said that I would invite you to drink spiritual wine, so you must go. After drinking the spiritual wine, you can go wherever you want to go. After the man stopped Ji Luofei, he did not make a move, but just patted the red ruler in his hand. Ji Luofei clenched the long sword in her hand, as she spoke in an ice-cold tone, my husband. Stop, do you want to compare backgrounds? Then let me say it first, if my father goes to the Heavenly Dao Academy, then even the Heavenly Dao Academy's Dao Master would have to come out to greet him. So don't try to compare backgrounds behind me, otherwise I will also kill your husband and feed him to the fishes. The man finally became impatient. If not for Ji Luofei's stunning beauty, he really did not want to waste so much time. Ji Luofei, who was still enduring, on hearing that the opposite party wanted to kill Ning Cheng and feed him to the fishes, immediately turned angry. The long sword in her hand transformed into a sword light, while at the same time, a ribbon also rolled up a wave of true essence walls. Ji Luofei was only at the Crucible Transformation first level, so even if she made the first move, in the face of a Crucible Transformation 4th level cultivator who spent most of his time in the Yi Xing Ocean, there was still a huge gap between them. Her sword lights, under the attack of the opposite party's magical weapon, could not even block for half an hour, before turning chaotic. Boom! Several powerful red lights exploded onto the true essence wall that Ji Luofei had erected using the 7-colored glaze, directly causing a huge crack to appear on the true essence wall. Ji Luofei was also sent flying by the powerful true essence attack. After this male cultivator blasted away Ji Luofei, he immediately rushed forward, while simultaneously raising his hand to grab Ji Luofei. Although Ji Luofei could not beat this Crucible Transformation 4th level male cultivator, it was still not enough for her to be blasted away so quickly. At the same time that she flew out, she had already stepped onto her flying sword, before rushing out of the reef island like a meteor. The male cultivator covered in water immediately understood that he had fallen into a trap. This female cultivator had clearly deliberately allowed him to send her flying. Even in the hands of this Yu Dongqing, you still want to escape. The man snorted, while a white light suddenly appeared under his feet. At the same time, this white light rushed towards Ji Luofei along with the man. Although Ji Luofei had the upper hand compared to Yu Dongqing, she soon discovered that her speed was far inferior to Yu Dongqing's. Even if she tried her best to escape, in less than half an hour, Yu Dongqing would still be able to catch up to her. Ji Luofei felt anxious in her heart, but there was nothing she could do. She still had a talisman. It was an escape talisman given to her by senior apprentice sister Jing Xiu. However, she did not want to use it. If she used this talisman, she would most likely end up teleporting to the Lu continent. Moreover, she was about to meet Ning Cheng, so how could she use this talisman? Ji Luofei felt anxious in her heart, but Ning Cheng also felt anxious in his heart. After he sensed Ji Luofei's position, he immediately sped up. In the beginning, he only felt excited in his heart. But soon, he felt that something was wrong. Ji Luofei's anxiety was expressed through the heart knot. Luofei seemed to have encountered something dangerous. Feeling that Luofei was in danger, Ning Cheng did not care about anything else. He immediately activated the twin wings of the heavenly clouds to a state of vibration. With each vibration, he would disappear from the spot. This twin wings of the heavenly clouds, which consumed an extreme amount of true essence, was being used by Ning Cheng to speed up his journey. Chapter 442. Ji Luofei was just about to return and fight with Yu Dongqing when she suddenly felt that Yu Dongqing had stopped. Yu Dongqing was about to catch up with her. Why did he stop? Ji Luofei's spiritual consciousness swept out and soon saw Ning Cheng getting closer and closer like a shadow. Ning Cheng. Ji Luofei was so happy that she could not even take a single step forward. It was as if her entire body was about to melt. The next moment, she found herself in Ning Cheng's arms. That anxiety instantly disappeared without a trace, and she didn't even want to say a word. At this moment, the silence was better than 1,000 words, better than all movements. Don't worry, I'm back. When Ning Cheng's soft voice resounded in Ji Luofei's ears, she had already forgotten about Yu Dongqing behind her, not to mention worrying about him. Yu Dongqing coldly stared at Ning Cheng. He could feel an extreme sense of danger. Ji Luofei was frantically escaping in front of him and was not aware of Ning Cheng's sudden appearance. However, he was aware of it. This cultivator had an intense murderous intent. Moreover, this murderous intent was directed at him, causing him to not dare to continue chasing after Ji Luofei. Yu Dongqing spent most of his time in the Yi Xing Ocean killing. Although he was only at the Crucible Transformation 4th level, but his strength and sensitivity to danger was far stronger than the average Crucible Transformation cultivators. Ning Cheng looked like he was only at the intermediate stages of the sea opening realm. However, he felt as if he was facing someone above the Crucible Transformation realm. Are you her husband? Although Yu Dongqing felt some fear towards Ning Cheng, but he was not afraid of him. Luofei, you stay on the side to help me. I'm going to kill this fellow. Ning Qing did not answer Yu Dongqing's words at all. Instead, he gently patted Ji Luofei in his arms. The originally somewhat fearful Yu Dongqing's complexion immediately turned ugly, as he spoke out in a cold voice, I, Yu Dongqing, have roamed the Yi Xing Ocean for countless years, yet I have never seen such an arrogant sea-opening cultivator like you. Even I, Yu Dongqing, have to find a random reason to kill someone. Do you think you're invincible? We'll deal with him together. Ji Luofei knew that this Yu Dongqing was extremely powerful. Moreover, it was not the first or second time that she had encountered danger in the outside world. After years of training, her strength was not as weak as it looked on the surface. Ning Qing showed a faint smile, no need. While speaking, the Nirvana spear shot out a spear shadow towards Yu Dongqing. Reason? With Yu Dongqing chasing after Luofei, he had more than 10,000 reasons to kill Yu Dongqing. Seeing Ning Qing shooting his spear at him, Yu Dongqing's complexion turned ugly to the extreme. Raising the red jade tablet in his hands, it immediately turned into waves of red lines, while the monstrous beast iron-backed seal beside him also rushed towards Ning Qing. However, in just a breath's time, Yu Dongqing's expression changed. He felt that the surrounding space no longer belonged to this world. To be exact, he had a feeling that the space around him belonged to the other party, and he found it difficult to even turn around in the other party's space. He had countless methods, but in this space, he couldn't use them at all. A tearing sound resounded, as Ning Cheng's long spear directly pierced through the head of the iron-backed seal, causing the incomparably powerful iron-backed seal to turn into a bloody mist. At this moment, Yu Dongqing borrowed the iron-backed seal's obstruction and rushed out of the terrifying spatial shackles. Domain. Yu Dongqing's face was filled with horror. A lot of crucible transformation cultivators might not necessarily understand what a domain was, but he understood it. Moreover, his inheritance was on a much higher level compared to the inheritances of some of the major academies. Stop. Yu Dongqing no longer cared about anything else and quickly called out. Ning Qing acted as if he did not hear anything, as the long spear once again transformed into a group of spear shadows, which shot towards Yu Dongqing. He was somewhat dissatisfied with his spear techniques. Apart from the move that he had comprehended in the Thunder City, he did not have any particularly good spear techniques. Using that kind of spear intent to deal with a crucible transformation 4th level cultivator was just too wasteful. Feeling Ning Cheng's strong killing intent, Yu Dongqing knew that it was impossible for Ning Qing to stop at this time. He gave out a loud hissing sound, as the red ruler once again turned into a line of lines, however, this time the lines were several times thicker than before. At the same time, a white light once again appeared under his feet. This white light exploded, and in a twinkling of an eye, it turned into a white wave several feet high. These white waves rushed towards Ning Qing, unexpectedly blocking the domain that Ning Qing had not yet grasped. No wonder Ji Luofei could not stop this fellow. This fellow was not inferior to Rong Jin by much. The more powerful the opponent, the more powerful the killing intent in Ning Cheng's heart became. The spear intent exploded out, directly passing through Yu Dongqing's red lines. Bursts of true essence erupted in the air, causing Yu Dongqing's red lines to turn chaotic before quickly dissipating into nothingness. At the same time, Ning Cheng's domain-like aura blocked the several feet-long wave that Yu Dongqing had created, causing the water to splash everywhere. Yu Dongqing no longer dared to continue fighting with Ning Qing. He knew that he could not escape from Ning Qing, but at this time, he had no choice but to escape. The white light under his feet had just lit up when the Nirvana spear once again shot towards him. Yu Dongqing had no choice but to bring out the Hung Gue to block it once again. The 6 small axes turned into a black axe line as they shot towards him. In just a blink of an eye, they had already arrived in front of his glabella. Stop! Another loud roar erupted, however, Ning Cheng's axe line did not show even half a shred of hesitation because of this roar. It directly cut through Yu Dongqing's glabella. Yu Dongqing's entire body exploded, causing a faintly discernible life essence to overflow in panic. Not waiting for Ning Cheng's flames to completely incinerate this life essence, a black shadow had already collected this life essence. Expert, this was definitely an expert. This black shadow had not even approached this place, yet it had already collected Yu Dongqing's life essence. Ning Cheng immediately understood that this person was a powerful opponent, many times more powerful than Yu Dongqing. In fact, this person was not even inferior to Jia Shisan. Ning Cheng did not continue to attack. Holding the Nirvana spear, he stepped onto the waves and quietly watched the black shadow in front of him slowly solidify. In just a blink of an eye, this black shadow turned into a black-robed, black-haired middle-aged man. This friend truly has a powerful skill. This Yu had only seen such a powerful move from Tao Master Su Anjin. This Yu was ignorant and did not know that my Yi Xing Ocean had such a powerful expert like this friend. May I ask for this friend's name? After this black-robed middle-aged man collected Yu Dongqing's life essence, he did not immediately attack Ning Cheng. Instead, he cupped his fists towards Ning Cheng. Ji Luofei had already arrived at Ning Cheng's side. Ning Cheng had killed Rong Jin in the past, so she did not feel surprised that he was able to kill a Crucible Transformation 4th level cultivator. Ning Cheng, on hearing this middle-aged male cultivator mention Su Anjin, immediately understood that this person should be on the same level as Su Anjin. Ning Cheng did not immediately start and calmly spoke up, "My name is Ning Cheng, Rainbow Fall Sword Sect Master." "So it is Sect Master Ning, no wonder you are so powerful. I have always been in the Yi Xing Ocean and missed the opportunity to meet Sect Master Ning." Yu Haishi's face showed a hint of understanding. He did not know how many times he had heard the name Ning Cheng, but he had never seen Ning Cheng in person. Ning Cheng wanted to say that he could also meet him now. However, the other party had not shown any intention of starting a fight. Moreover, the other party also spoke in a polite manner. As such, Ning Cheng also did not take the initiative to attack. "Sect Master Ning, the one whose corporeal body you destroyed a moment ago, along with his life essence and soul, was my only son, Yu Dongqing. I know that my son has always been arrogant and doesn't speak much. I wonder how he offended Sect Master Ning." Although Yu Haishi's tone was still polite, one could easily understand the meaning behind it. Ning Cheng spoke up in a calm voice, "My wife, Luofei, was looking for me in the Yi Xing Ocean. If I had come a little later, I'm afraid that I would not have been able to see her. Therefore, you don't need to speak any nonsense. I just destroyed his corporeal body, and now I want to ask you for his life essence." Yu Haishi had come a little late, as such he did not know what had happened. If it were an ordinary cultivator who destroyed his son's corporeal body, why would he even speak any nonsense? He would have long since destroyed it. Although he was easy to talk to, he still had to look at the other party. Ning Cheng was the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect Master. Just a moment ago, he had also felt Ning Cheng's killing power, which was definitely not any worse than his own. Even he might not necessarily be Ning Cheng's opponent. He had lived in the Yi Xing Ocean all year round, as such, his strength was not inferior to that of an ordinary Crucible Transformation cultivator. However, the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's strength was still much stronger than his. Moreover, it was obvious that Yu Dongqing did not have any reason to act in this matter. Ning Cheng was a sect master, while Yu Dongqing, who did not know the immensity of heaven and earth, actually dared to have ideas about Ning Cheng's Tao companion. He knew that his son was arrogant in the Yi Xing Ocean, and that one day something would happen to him, but he did not think that his guess would not be wrong. He pondered for a moment, if he and Ning Cheng were to fight, then he would only have a 50% chance of winning, moreover this was just his consideration. As for whether or not Ning Cheng still had any cards up his sleeves, he did not know about it. In this way, his chances of winning had dropped by another 10%. Besides, Ning Cheng was still young and full of vigor, which could be seen from the things he had done. Who knew if he would summon all the experts from the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect to the Yi Xing Ocean and directly destroy his Yu Ocean Palace. What's more, the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect also had a character that he feared even more, Rui Baishan. Thinking of this, Yuhaishi once again cupped his fists and spoke, Sect Master Ning, this matter is my son's fault. Fortunately, Sect Master Ning has already taught him a lesson. If my son's primordial spirit is taken away as well, with the strength of my Yu Ocean Palace, we won't be able to save him. I only have this one son, so I hope that Sect Master Ning can give me some face. My Yu Ocean Palace is willing to bear part of the losses. This was because Yuhaishi was confident that he could restore Yu Dongqing's body. If Ning Qing still did not want to, then he would have no choice but to fight. Even if he was not as good as Ning Qing, it would not be easy for Ning Qing to kill him in the Yixing Ocean. Ning Qing did not immediately answer. Yuhaishi's words could be said to be a sign of weakness. He had destroyed Yu Dongqing's corporeal body, yet Yuhaishi did not immediately take action. Instead, he tried to negotiate with him, which showed that the other party did not want to fight with him. Rather, he wanted to resolve this matter in a very sincere manner. He did not care about fighting with Yuhaishi. Even if he ended up in a fight, he did not fear the other party. He remained silent because he heard Yuhaishi's words. That is, if Yu Dongqing did not have his primordial spirit, the Yu Ocean Palace would not have the strength to save him. In other words, if there was a place more powerful than the Yu Ocean Palace, then even if he did not have his primordial spirit, he could still save him. Ning Cheng's mind immediately moved. Sun Hanrui only had her corporeal body, without her primordial spirit. If there was a way to save her, then he must find a way. Chapter 443. Palace Master Yu, from what I heard from your words, if one's soul disperses, then is there still a possibility of being saved? Ning Cheng's tone softened. If one wanted to ask for something, then they would have to show some sincerity. Yuhaishi was an old man who had lived for many years. As soon as Ning Cheng asked that question, he immediately understood what was going on. This person wanted to ask him, as long as he told Ning Cheng about it, then presumably with the other party's status, he would not continue to pester this matter. After understanding this point, Yuhaishi immediately replied, there is such a saying, but it is extremely difficult. At least in the Yixing mainland, there is no way to save it. I only know a little about it from ancient rumors. I don't know if Sect Master Ning knows about past lives, present lives, reincarnation and reincarnation. I've heard about it. Ning Qing replied without hesitation. He did not believe in such a thing before. But the fact was that this kind of thing had happened to him. There was no need to doubt it. Seeing Ning Cheng had heard about it, Yuhaishi nodded. In fact, when a cultivator is killed, once their life essence or soul is destroyed, then even reincarnation would be impossible. Generally speaking, when anyone dies, as long as their spiritual soul is not destroyed, then they would be able to find a chance to reincarnate. If you can find the spiritual soul of the fallen cultivator, then there is a way to resurrect the soul. Of course, this is just a rumor, at least I have not seen it. Ning Qing understood the meaning of Yuhaishi's words. Life essence and soul were slightly different. For ordinary people, even for cultivators below the soul essence realm, after death, most of their spiritual souls would fall into unconsciousness. This was the soul. But once they advanced to the soul essence realm, they would have a life essence. The life essence had its own consciousness. Even if the corporeal body was destroyed, it could find a way to restore its own corporeal body. When he met Fang Jian and the two fellows in the ring, they all had their own life essence. When a cultivator's soul disperses, if the soul is really destroyed, then even if one has great skills, it would be impossible to save it. If it is only the soul or life essence that is destroyed, then there is still a chance to save it. If the cultivator had a corporeal body, then by preserving the remnant soul consciousness in the corporeal body, and then finding the shattered life essence, coupled with some spiritual objects, there would basically be a chance, but this is just a rumor. As for what kind of spiritual objects would be useful, I do not know. Yuhaishi spoke cautiously. Ning Cheng's strength, as well as the strength behind Ning Cheng, made him feel a lot of fear. Does the corporeal body still have a remnant soul consciousness after it falls? Ning Cheng had always thought that after the soul dissipated, the corporeal body would just be a body without any consciousness. Otherwise, even if the soul is destroyed, the physical body will still have a trace of soul consciousness left. However, once the soul is destroyed, the remnant soul consciousness will never be able to awaken. In the end, it will disappear along with the physical body, Yu Haishi said with certainty. Then how to preserve the remnant soul consciousness of the corporeal body? This was what Ning Cheng was most concerned about. Yu Haishi spoke up helplessly, only the underworld soul flower. If the underworld soul flower is placed on a dead body, not only can it preserve the remnant soul consciousness, but it can also nourish the soul. However, this kind of thing only exists in the legends. Although his son, Yu Dongqing, had lost his fleshly body, his primordial spirit was still there. The treasures of Yusi Palace could help his son rebuild his fleshly body. Listening to Ning Cheng's words, he understood that it was only his corporeal body, but not his life essence, which was much more serious than his son's situation. Ning Cheng on hearing it felt happy in his heart, he just happened to have the underworld soul flower. Today's conversation with Palace Master Yu, the harvest was not small. For the sake of Palace Master Yu's face, Yu Dongqing's matter will end here, but if there is a next time, then don't blame me for being impolite. Hearing Ning Cheng's words, Yu Haishi felt happy in his heart, as he quickly cupped his fists and spoke, if there is a next time, then Sect Master Ning does not need to do anything, I will end it myself. His son suffering this kind of disaster, maybe it was a good thing. Although the treasures used to rebuild his body made him feel distressed, who told him to only have one son. Luofei, let's go. Ning Cheng embraced Ji Luofei, before his figure flashed and disappeared without a trace. Yu Haishi's complexion changed on seeing this. He did not expect Ning Cheng to have the twin heavenly cloud wings. If he added this, then if he fought with Ning Cheng, his odds of winning would once again drop by 10%. Fortunately, he did not fight with this sect master Ning, otherwise, his Yusi Palace might really end up dead. Father. After Ning Cheng left, Yu Dongqing's weak voice came out. Yu Haishi's complexion sank, I have already told you, even in the I Xing Ocean, do not be arrogant. If not for your father coming here today, your spiritual soul would have long since perished. That Ning Cheng has a fierce reputation. When he was still in the soul essence realm, he dared to rush into the Severing Emotions Dao sect. Even Su Anjin could not do anything to him, yet you actually dared to find trouble with him, you are simply courting death. I did not know that woman was Ning Cheng's Dao companion. Yu Dongqing's words were once again interrupted by Yu Haishi, shut up, go back and reflect on yourself. Rulin went to heaven's way, I will stay here. Ji Luofei's excited mood finally calmed down a bit. Since Ning Cheng did not go to heaven's way, then Rulin would definitely not be able to find Ning Cheng. If she had known about this earlier, she would have told Rulin not to go. Fortunately, she did not go to heaven's way. I know, Rulin and many of her fellow disciples went to heaven's way together. Sect Master Rui is also there, so we can take care of each other. After I take care of the things here, we can also go to heaven's way. Ning Cheng comforted her. Ji Luofei didn't ask why Ning Cheng hadn't come back for all these years. For her, as long as Ning Cheng came back, everything would be fine. Where are we going now? Red Star Sword Faction. The Red Star Sword Faction was established above the Red Star River, and from afar, it looked as if it was floating above a silver ribbon. Even if the Red Star Sword Faction and the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect had fought against each other several times, causing their strength to drop by a lot, it still remained a major faction. Since the war with the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect a few years ago, the Red Star Sword Faction had become a lot more low-key. Although the mountain was not sealed, the Great Mountain Guarding Array was always in a half-closed state. Ning Cheng and Ji Luofei had just arrived outside the Red Star Sword Faction when someone immediately stopped them, get out of the way, this is the territory of the Red Star Sword Faction, anyone who approaches will be killed. Generally speaking, visitors to the Red Star Sword Faction would have to go to the External Affairs Relay Station outside to submit a visiting card. However, Ning Cheng had directly barged in, which obviously showed that he was an uninvited guest. Ning Cheng brought out his Nirvana spear and swept it out. The two disciples who tried to stop Ning Cheng immediately turned into a blood mist. Perhaps these two disciples had never been to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, however, the Red Star Sword faction had already provoked Ning Cheng's bottom line. Sun Hanrui had already fallen. If Ji Luofei fell, or his sister Ning Rulan fell, or even more people fell, it would be too late for him to regret it. The Red Star Sword faction and the Rainbow Fall Sword sect originally did not have much hatred between them. However, they had repeatedly tried to destroy the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Not to mention that Ning Cheng now had the strength. Even if he did not have the strength, he would not have given up. This time, he came here with the intent to destroy the Red Star Sword faction. Boom! After instantly killing the two guarding disciples, Ning Cheng's Nirvana spear struck the Red Star Sword faction's mountain guarding grand array. The mountain guarding grand array gave out a burst of tremors, causing the entire Red Star Sword faction's alarm to ring out. Someone is attacking the mountain guarding grand array. The cries instantly spread throughout the Red Star Sword faction. The Red Star Sword faction and the Rainbow Fall Sword sect were different. When the Rainbow Fall Sword sect sealed the mountain, someone had already attacked it. However, since the establishment of the Red Star Sword faction, no one had dared to attack the mountain guarding grand array. For a time, countless lights flew towards the entrance of the grand array. The mountain guarding grand array was generally very solid. If a crucible transformation cultivator wanted to break through the Academy's mountain guarding grand array, they would have to spend a considerable amount of time to do so. However, this time, the one attacking the mountain guarding grand array was Ning Cheng, an expert proficient in array formations. The Red Star Sword faction's mountain guarding grand array barely reached rank 8. This kind of array formation, even if Ning Cheng was alone, as long as he had enough time, he could easily arrange it. What's more, how could he attack this array formation? A powerful rank 8 array formation Grand Master, attacking a barely rank 8 array formation. Moreover, no one was able to pull up the mountain guarding grand array in time. In just a few breaths, the mountain guarding grand array gave out a catcha sound, before a huge crack appeared on it. With Ning Cheng once again blasting down with his spear, the entrance to the mountain guarding grand array completely shattered under Ning Cheng's attack. The mountain entrance that was previously shrouded in a dense fog suddenly became clear, only to see many panic-stricken cultivators flying in. This person is the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's Ning Cheng. Originally, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect killed many of my Red Star Sword faction's disciples, and now this person has come knocking on our door. My Red Star Sword faction's disciples, such. A crucible transformation first-level cultivator had just arrived at the entrance of the mountain guarding grand array and was trying to boost the morale of his fellow disciples when Ning Cheng's spear burst him apart. He did not even have the opportunity to bring out his magical weapon. Ning Cheng's spear had killed a crucible transformation first-level elder, causing the rest of the cultivators to suddenly turn sluggish. Many people had seen Ning Cheng before, and knew that he was an extremely powerful person. Now that this person had killed a crucible transformation first-level elder with a single spear, it showed that this person was even more powerful than the rumors said. For a moment, no one dared to step forward. After Ning Cheng killed a crucible transformation first-level cultivator, he did not immediately rush forward. Instead, he raised the Nirvana spear in his hands and spoke in a cold voice, "My Rainbow Fall Sword sect and the Red Star Sword faction originally had no enmity. However, the Red Star Sword faction has already attacked my Rainbow Fall Sword sect 3 times. Today, I came here to exterminate your entire sect. All those who do not want to die, swear to renounce the Red Star Sword faction, and will be spared from death. Otherwise, I will kill you without mercy." An uproar broke out. Although Ning Cheng was powerful, but wanting to exterminate the Red Star Sword faction with just 2 people, it was simply looking down on the Red Star Sword faction too much. No one was willing to renounce the Red Star Sword faction, let alone swear an oath. A hoarse roar arrived, "Kill them for me, turn these 2 people into mincemeat and feed them to the dogs." This voice was like a spark thrown into a pile of explosives, which instantly aroused the rage of all the cultivators from the Red Star Sword faction. Numerous cultivators brought out a variety of magical weapons, before rushing towards Ning Cheng. At this moment, Ning Cheng did not show any mercy. The 36 cosmic true devil axes formed an axe line filled with killing intent, harvesting the lives of the cultivators below the crucible transformation realm. At the same time, his Nirvana spear crazily wrapped around all the crucible transformation cultivators. Ji Luofei wanted to help Ning Cheng block one or two crucible transformation cultivators, however, she found that she simply did not have the opportunity. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.